The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning wants to wish you a happy holiday season and wants to let you know that Standard Heating is ready if you face a heating emergency. Their expert team is available through the holidays to make sure you stay warm and safe, no matter what. Become a Smart Club member so that you'll have peace of mind knowing that you're covered for the upcoming winter season. For more info or 24/7 emergency heating services, call 612-824-2656. Comfort you deserve since 1930.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks Edition.
Brothers and Sisters Damn Day. Josh, you and I are the only two people here on the program that have both.
Yeah, we've got the best of both worlds, I guess.
I have a sister, but she's a half-sister. She lived with me and my family for a couple of years, but I don't see her much.
You told us a long time ago that she doesn't count.
What's the age difference there?
Quite a bit. I believe she's in her late 30s or early 40s.
So you guys are close.
Yes, obviously.
Seems that way.
It's hard to keep track with all of them.
I've got
Sounds
a
like
brother, a cousin I grew up with like a brother. We grew up in the same house, and then a sister. But I haven't seen I see my sister only like once a year. She lives on the other side of the country, and we don't get to see each other very often.
Yeah, Dana, 1 sister. Wapple, 2 sisters. Ashley, 7 brothers.
5.
Something like that. Me and Cubby, 1 of each.
I always wanted a brother, but never quite got one.
Like a big brother or a little brother?
I always thought a twin brother would be cool, but maybe after work with Nick for a few years, maybe that wouldn't have been so cool.
It's not cool.
Yeah, but in the time when you're a kid, it'd be like, how cool it'd be to just have a guy to play video games with all the time. But no,
those are friends.
Yeah, I didn't have any of those either, Josh.
Yeah, you always wish you had one of those.
Yeah, I was going to take what I could get: brother, friend, neighbor. Maybe my dad playing video games with me.
Having a twin is not cool. It's the least cool thing in the whole world.
I'm so thankful that I didn't have any sisters that were my age. That wouldn't have been good. My parents would have been screwed.
I wouldn't want another me. The world doesn't need that. There's somebody that close. I'd imagine you guys are similar in a lot of ways, you and your brother Nick, but then very different in others. And I'd imagine that's probably the same for most twins, right? Unless you're conjoined, you probably have a lot more in common.
Yeah, I'd agree with what you said. We're similar in a lot of ways, but different as well. I'm exaggerating, of course. There was good and bad about having a twin. So I guess for whatever it's worth to our brothers and sisters, have a wonderful day. To be an only child, I don't know many off the top of my head. I'm trying to think.
I know. I grew up with quite a few, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I certainly could guess, but, what are the pros and cons of that setup?
Well, the pro is all the attention's on you.
Right.
The con is, at least in a couple of the cases, and I'm not making a blanket statement, I'm just saying, in my experience of friends, it took them a little longer to socialize because they didn't have the siblings to beat you up and tell you all your flaws and stuff like that. And to be honest, I always thought that was kind of an advantage, having brothers and a sister who would be very good at ripping you to pieces. Keeps you humble, and also it kind of lets you know, here's something I might need to work on because they give me crap about this all the time.
I never would have considered that. Socially, they were a little different just because they didn't have siblings to communicate with when they were very young. So before you got into school and started mixing with everybody and getting into your cliques, some of the only children were a little awkward at first because they didn't really know how to go about it.
And I think we've both noticed this, and because we've talked about it. There's a difference too, then, from guys we know who grew up with only sisters, or if they had brothers in some capacity, whether it was only or kind of a mix. Like Wapple, you're not as good. Or
what?
Yeah,
Me? No. He hasn't said what you're not as good at yet.
Yeah, I think he knows what's coming. It took Wapple a little while to get used to ball busting, where, that's kind of how we grew up, and I think you were the baby of the family, right? And a lot of times the baby of the family gets babied. And so it seems like you weren't quite used to it until like you got around some of your buddies and working here and stuff like that. Is that fair to say or no? That's the way I look at it.
You weren't that good at bro stuff at first.
Yeah, and then also I'm a lot more emotional and sensitive because of it.
You think so?
Oh,
Jesus
definitely.
Christ, yes. Emotional and sensitive, dude. I've got your photos taped up on the wall under those. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah.
If ever
We've had a couple coworkers that shared the same traits, so that's why I think, well, maybe there's something there. That only had older sisters, and so they had similar traits in that regard.
So, only children, if there's any of yous out there, text us, 651-989-9393. What's the deal? How was it growing up? How is it now?
I think maybe at times it'd be a little lonely, right?
Yeah, that's what I always thought.
But then again, if that's all you know,
Exactly.
that could be a little different. But I know, like for a couple of my buddies, they had wished that they had siblings. There's somebody built in to either pick on or play with, whatever the mood is.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is maybe loneliness. But like you said, Josh, if it's all you've ever known, then you don't know what you're missing.
I can tell you this.
I just thought of something for only children, but go ahead, Josh.
So my cousin moved in with us when I was maybe 5th grade, and so from then on, we were raised in the same home. But I felt as the oldest until he moved in that I was the ice pick of the family, where all the new stuff was with me, with my parents. And so as the kids get younger here, my brother and then my little sister, they could get away with more and more and more. Kind of like in the first clip we played there, or second clip, I forgot I changed it up. Well, now I don't remember. But my brother and sister could get away with a lot more, and like talking back was a big one. I think I talked back to my parents one time. I woke up in the hospital after talking back to my dad,
Right.
and I never did again. Even, on his deathbed, I was still afraid of pissing him off because I just never knew it would be. But my sister, she would express any feelings she had. I would just keep it inside because I didn't want to get my dad mad at me. And so they got away with a lot more than I did.
That's what I hear every time. The older kids, parents put the clamps down on them because they didn't know what to expect at first, right? The parents were keeping an eye on them, strict. And the more children that fell out, the more they could get away with. Oldest kid got screwed. Youngest kid was basically living a rock star lifestyle when he was 2.
Our kids give us crap because, the older ones, we would make sure hey, if you didn't finish your vegetables, you're going to sit there until they're gone, right? You got to make sure you're...
Oh, I hated families like that.
Oh, that's nice. Ones that care about the well-being of their children, that kind of stuff. Yeah, jerks.
I'm just saying, I hated that gimmick as a kid.
Well, it's different though, because we wouldn't do that when friends were over, right? You had experiences where you'd have to sit there, and when you were having dinner at somebody's house, we were reasonable about it,
Right.
But so with the youngest, I don't think my youngest has ever had a vegetable once. It's just at that point you're like, he'll be fine.
You've worn yourself out on the...
He's on his own. We gave the real care to the older two.
See, the thing that sucks for me and my middle sister is my oldest sister was like the star child.
Oh, yeah.
So she got the best grades. She never got in trouble, all that. So now because of that, I feel like we're kind of the black sheep and we're never good enough.
See, that was the opposite for me. My younger sister, maybe it was because, there's really not a lot of girls or women in my family. My dad was one of 8. He only had one sister. And then not a lot of them had kids, and there was only 2 girls. Okay, 3 girls out of all the kids. That on both sides of the family, really, there wasn't a lot. And so my sister was like the golden child. She could do no wrong. And as a matter of fact, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but my cousin, he told me he went over to his mom's house to visit. And my cousin has a son and a couple of stepkids. And his mom has, a picture of, like people would, a kid over her fireplace or whatever. And that kid is my sister. So my aunt has a picture of my sister, but not her grandchild, not her own son, not her stepkids, nothing. But that's how much my sister is the star of the family.
How disrespectful.
Well, he's got a good sense of humor about it, but he did call me. He's like, dude, this is out of control. And that's how it was. We never got crap, but we had all these uncles, and they'd come over, and then she'd have a stuffed animal or a Cabbage Patch Kid or whatever it was. They'd bring the stuff over. So it was the opposite, Wapple. The baby of the family and the only girl, she was the star, and still is.
I'm looking through texts here. I asked for only children to text in and tell us, what's the gist? How is that gig? I got one so far, and they said it was not the greatest thing in the world to be an only child. Could have used a sister or brother along the way. Okay, I hear you. I was just, while we were talking about it, I was thinking of, here's a con in my mind for an only child. And it has nothing to do with when you're growing up, loneliness, all that, looking for someone to play with. When you get older, obviously so do your folks. And when the S hits the fan, you're the only effing one there to straighten things out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
One of your parents gets sick, one of them dies, this and that. You're the only friggin' lifeline to handle all of that stuff, and that can be some rough tasks. You know what I'm saying? That's just one that come to mind just a second ago.
I always thought that it would kind of suck for the kids in that situation, too, because they would never have aunts or uncles, right? Yeah.
What?
Who?
Like, the
like
kids
you're
of
an
the
only child.
The kids of an only child.
Yeah. You would never have aunts and uncles.
Well, you might if your spouse has siblings.
Right.
Yeah, true that.
Hot Widow Jesus said aging parents is the worst part of being an only child. And so, and that's actually something I was going to mention, and I forgot. The people I knew, the kids I knew that were only children, it was older parents. And it was parents, I think, who weren't aware they could have kids, right? Or thought they couldn't, and then just later in life, after, being very free with fluids during intercourse, they ended up having a miracle baby.
D&D Jesus, only child here, he says. It was lonely at times, and there were a lot of expectations put on me. But damn, he says, it was peaceful growing up. Peaceful.
Oh, I bet kind of a quiet house. I've never had one of those. Never.
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
It's always chaos.
And it will likely never happen.
No.
You will die in a loud house.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I will die screaming in a loud house.
Because you're trying to be heard over all the nonsense.
I'm dying over here.
Do you want the pallbearers to just scream as they're putting your coffin down?
Just my final resting place.
So it feels comfortable for you.
Love that Danhausen. Jesus said she's the youngest of 14.
Oh, my Lord.
9 brothers between me and my 4 sisters. When I was younger, it sucked, but they taught me a lot. Love them all, she said.
That's a good support system to have.
There's an old boy that I know, and he dumped a great line on me a few years ago. We ran into each other around the holidays. So he's married. He's an older guy. He's 70-something now. Married for years and years and years. He and his wife are empty nesters, obviously, at this point in their lives. But he said to me, we were talking about the holidays. We ran into each other like around Thanksgiving. And he said, you know when I really drink? And I said, it was kind of out of nowhere. I said, what? What do you mean? Well, he said, I'm just asking you. Can you take a guess when I really drink? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, during the holidays, because my wife's got 4 sisters. And they're all coming over today. He dumps that on me once in a while. That's when you really start drinking, around the holidays when your wife's got 4 sisters.
Kickstand Jesus said he's an only child, but he has a hard time communicating to his parents' other 2 kids that he's the only child.
The half-assed morning show backtracks.
Let's keep her rolling here. You're listening to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show with entertainer C. Willie Miles in studio. Coming up, we're hoping to jaw jack with Jackal lead singer Jesse James Dupree. He and his band will be playing Friday night at our beer party in Turtle Lake, Wisconsin. We call it the Brotherhood Bash. Jesse James and his band going to be playing Friday night. We're going to see what's going on with the man. C. Willie Miles.
Yes, sir.
I want to see what you make of this here before we get to Jesse James. Earlier on this morning, we were talking about narcissistic people.
I'd imagine you are an expert dealing with narcissistic people in your line of work.
Absolutely.
In the world of stand-up entertainment, in the world of radio, I think we cross paths with characters like this maybe more often than a lot of other lines of work.
Absolutely.
That's just my vibe on
You've
the
told
thing.
us stories.
Okay. One of the elements of narcissism is you are, in your mind, you're the center of the by God universe. There is nothing and nobody more important than you and what you do and what you say and what you think. Now, I'm not calling this straight up narcissism just yet, but Dana handed us some information recently. This is certainly, if you ask me, someone who's on the brink of narcissism. Dana informed us that a friend of his has an aunt, and that aunt is planning an I'm Not Dead Yet celebration. Have you heard of this kind of thing, C. Willie Miles?
No.
Okay. According to the information that Dana handed us, an I'm Not Dead Yet celebration has become a thing, and the way the gimmick works is it's basically a celebration of life. Instead of everyone gathering to celebrate you and say nice things about you after you're dead, they show up and do it while you're still alive so you can enjoy it.
Right.
I mean, come on. Dana.
Yes.
Is this person in the process of dying?
No.
Well, then this is just all self-serving nonsense.
Oh, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because I've heard of people who, are in the process
Yeah.
of dying that do something like this, and that.
Well, that's obviously
okay, but
completely
this-
different.
Yeah, if you're like a healthy, like 65 years old, and you're doing something like this.
This is all just self-serving garbage, in my opinion.
What's the, who comes up with something like that? The person who's getting the party thrown for them or somebody else?
Right. That is exactly who it's for. You're a sociopath. You're just not narcissist. Here's the thing. You want people to say nice things about you, and then that's it. So when you die, there is no funeral. You don't get to,
Yeah, you don't get a double up.
you don't get to take that back.
Nobody gets two of those.
Like, I want to hear it, and then after that, there's nothing. This is it. When I die, put me in the hole. Don't say a word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, do you know this person, Dana? Why does this person think that her friends and family should show up and be like, well, you're this and you're that? I mean, I'm sorry, but that just makes my stomach hurt.
I've never met the aunt, but I just heard about it, that they were doing this. I thought it was interesting enough to pass along to you guys, see what you guys thought.
See, Will, you bring up a good point.
Right.
If somebody has one of those, could I go to one and just wear casual clothes? I don't have to dress up. I don't have to not know how to act. I could just go and enjoy myself, say a couple of nice things, and then not have to go to the funeral?
Absolutely not. But listen, don't get it twisted. If you invite me, and if you're a prick, and you want me to say, I'm not. If you're alive and there's nothing wrong with you, I'm telling you the truth. Even if there's something wrong with you,
Yeah.
I'm telling you the truth. But I'm not gonna get up, and like I remember this one. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. My dad. I went to a funeral with my dad and my mom. It was just my dad and my mom and I. Mm-hmm. There was a guy laying in there. Everybody was walking up and saying all these nice things about Hank. Mm-hmm. My dad got up and looked in the casket. He said, "I was just trying to make sure that."
He wanted to make sure the man was really dead?
Right. If
he didn't like the guy.
He was like, I don't think this is the Hank I know. Was my dad.
Because so many people were saying nice things, and your dad knew he was not a nice person.
A prick.
Yeah.
He was a prick. And there's nothing worse than for a narcissist to have people say stuff bad about him they don't know. So they want you to say good things in front of them, so everybody can say, oh, yeah, he's.
Obviously, you're probably not going to trash talk somebody who just passed, but it is kind of weird. People didn't like that person, all the nice things they'll say running around. Instead of, maybe you just don't say too much.
Right. I don't go to funerals of people I don't like.
I'm with you.
Let me make that crystal clear because, that's 2 or 3 hours I can't get back.
See, Willie Miles, I'm on board 100% with what you were saying a minute ago, and I've made this clear a few times on this radio show. If you were an a-hole, if you were a prick, and you die, that doesn't change my opinion of
Period.
you. There are people who, well, the guy did die. Well, okay. I mean, that we're all going to die one day. The guy was a prick while he was alive, girl, whatever it was. That doesn't change my thought on it.
Hey.
But back to this I'm not dead yet party.
Nope.
I just can't imagine. Can anyone on the panel say that they'd feel comfortable being the center of that kind of attention?
No.
Well, here's your chance to tell me what you think of me while I'm still alive. That just makes me sick.
Plus, that person's going to be judging what you had to say, right?
Exactly.
Oh, that wasn't good enough for me.
Right.
I need more than that.
Right.
I mean, who do you think you are?
Right.
That is really, really strange
That's
to me.
sad.
And
That's sad.
I think they should send a psychiatrist to these events and talk to the person.
Absolutely.
If they organize this themselves, yes, this is the party where you get a chance to talk to me and tell me what you really. If they organize that themselves, they should sit down with a specialist.
Right.
So your buddy's aunt, Dana, do you know who came up with it?
I don't know the specifics of that part. No.
Was it sarcastic, like more of a roast? Or did they? Because even then, that's a little goofy to do just to like a regular friend. But
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable even like throwing myself a birthday party.
Just 'cause no one shows?
Yeah, just exactly. 'Cause it's just me crying all by myself.
But I think this is an example of what we've become over the, I don't know how many years with social media.
Right.
We've all become so in love with ourselves, and every little life accomplishment now is what? It's amazing.
Right.
And our lives are now a journey. We've got this whole self-centered movement that just rubs me the wrong way. This is an example of it, in my opinion.
Well, my wife told me this the other day, that a friend of theirs, and I can get on board with this, that he did his own eulogy before he died.
Okay.
He wrote out and recorded it.
He
and
did.
Sitting at the
So
funeral, and he was thanking everybody. They played it at his funeral. He eulogized himself.
That's interesting to me.
Right.
cool.
But not to the point that he was a narcissist. He just wanted to thank all the people that he couldn't think that came by and saw him.
Wanted
before
to
he
make
passed,
sure
and
that-
make sure everybody knew that he knew that they were there, and
Make sure that nothing went unsaid.
exactly.
Okay.
And he talked about his kids and his wife and his brother and his mom and dad and blah blah blah. And it was the coolest. She said it wasn't a dry eye in the place, but
Yeah.
he just wanted to say all those things to them while they were sitting there and said, don't.
You know who else eulogized themselves? Grandpa von Wolfhausen in the documentary Beer Fest. But anyway, that's interesting to me, to eulogize yourself. And I also I want to go back to what you said a couple minutes ago. If you're going to have one of these "I'm not dead yet" parties, then you don't get a funeral.
Right.
If 100 people are going to show up and say, "Well, remember the time you were so wonderful," and you sit there and bask in the glow,
Right.
it's just so sickening. I'm with you. They shouldn't get a funeral. I know somebody who recently had a, what's the term again? Wedding shower. Is that what?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Wedding shower? Did I say that right? Anyway,
well, there's a bridal shower.
Yeah.
There's wedding shower.
Yeah, wedding shower.
Those exist.
where people get together. Over 100 people came to the wedding shower. There were invites sent out and fancy schmancy from top to bottom for their wedding shower. A couple people at the wedding shower said, "Look, you don't get a wedding now."
Right.
100 of us dressed up and all this fancy stuff. You shouldn't get a wedding now.
That's a little
Absolutely
extra,
not.
yeah.
That's just asinine, Jesus said. It's a good way to find out who's in and out of your will. Who shows up.
Josh, I love you like a brother. Beyond that, if your wife called me and said, "Well, I'm organizing a not yet dead party for Josh so everyone can say the things to him now," before, I would say, "I'm not coming."
Yeah, I would encourage you not to show up. That is so weird. I'd be so uncomfortable on any side. Going to one, certainly having one about me. I didn't have a 40th birthday party. I just felt like, it's too much. Like, I'm not going to do anything for my 50th. Just don't really need any of that kind of thing.
I just can't imagine being involved in a massive group BJ like that. You know what I mean?
We want you to say to him what you want to say to him. But he knows. Not coming. He know. Ask him. He knows how I feel about him.
Well, as you know how these things take off because of social media, we'll see if any of us get invited to an event like this. to an I'm not dead yet party.
I'm not coming.
Yeah, that's the new name.
You want me to show up? Die.
It's just dumb because it's literally just the same thing as having like a birthday party. Sometimes
Exactly.
at birthday parties, people will like get up and say, give you a nice toast or say something nice if there's a big
Seriously,
group of
I've
people there.
never had that happen.
Yeah, especially at like a big one, like a 50th or a 60th birthday party.
Oh, sure, I could see that.
So yeah, it's
wedding.
just like if you had those already, why do you just want another party? You just want
Exactly.
another one.
You're a narcissist.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I was actually just talking about this topic with somebody at my half birthday party. I have one right in the middle of the year whenever I'm whatever it is and a half.
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning wants to wish you a happy holiday season and wants to let you know that Standard Heating is ready if you face a heating emergency. Their expert team is available through the holidays to make sure you stay warm and safe, no matter what. Become a Smart Club member so that you'll have peace of mind knowing that you're covered for the upcoming winter season. For more info or 24/7 emergency heating services, call 612-824-2656. Comfort you deserve since 1930.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with AutoQuote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson bring their unique take on sports entertainment with no contest wrestling, with guests like WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry.
What is that night like for you as world champion?
I remember getting in my hotel. I'm looking at the chair with the title on it, and I remember crying. I couldn't believe that it was in my room and that I was sitting here looking at this title like it was a person.
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network, wherever you listen.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks Edition.
Who dis? What's going on is we got a real big shot on the telephone right now, and hopefully he can hear us. Someone we very much admire, someone who has reached great heights in their chosen profession, someone known by God worldwide. Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder, we know who it is that's waiting there on the telephone. We know who dis. But the two of you do not. So kind of like the old 20 questions game show back in the day, we'd like the two of you to ask yes or no questions to our guest until you can name them. Now, it's not a competition between the two of you, although I'm sure you'll find a way.
I'll make it one.
Well, sure it is. Why wouldn't it be?
You'll find that you're supposed to collectively, I'm sure you'll find a way.
Well, but whoever guesses it wins, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No, because
It's just a fun game.
you'll be using each other's questions to aid in your answer, so can't you be a team for one day?
Randy doesn't want help.
I don't need no damn help.
Randy's a professional interviewer. I think he'll have an advantage here.
We'd like you to toggle back and forth with yes or no questions. And when it's your turn and you think you know who dis is on the telephone, then you can make a guess.
So if we get the guess wrong, did that matter? Or
No,
just
we
guessing
keep
till
going.
get it
You just
right?
keep going.
We're going to do 20, like 20 questions.
Okay.
All you'll hear from our guest is yes or no. Maybe we'll allow them to elaborate a little bit on a question if we think you need help. And like Josh said, we'll put a lid on it after 20 questions and have our
So we
guest.
each get 10. Is that the idea?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's my math.
Jesus Christ, Randy.
I'm just wanting
Sounds like a question that I would ask.
I have a hunch before I even ask a question who this might be.
I personally, well,
I do.
I'm speaking for myself, I'd like you to guess. I mean,
I'd like to ask the first question.
Just
once we
wait.
get to
Brad
it.
Ryder, keep it in your friggin' pants. Don't kill it before we officially begin the...
I'd be very
Who
surprised.
tipped off Brad?
I know.
That's
I
what
would be.
I want to know.
No one did. I've been thinking about this, and I have a good feeling I know who it might be.
Okay. He's been... well, because we did give the boys a... We'll put a lid on it after 20 questions and have our guest introduce himself or herself.
This is called insider trading.
No. If you know who it is, I would be a little suspicious.
It's not a competition.
Is their voice disguised?
No.
No.
We do have that technology. It's just not hooked up.
Okay. Randy. Well, first off, I know our guest is listening. I just want to make sure that they can hear us properly. If you can hear us properly, bark once.
Rough.
That sounds disguised to me.
I think I might have to change my guess.
I had to do that because we've been having so many friggin' technical difficulties around here. Wapple, get a hold of yourself.
Oh, my gosh.
We've got a world-renowned guest on the phone. You're over there. You're a puddle.
He's having giggle fits.
I think when people realize who it is, they're going to think it's so cool that he barked on the radio.
Yeah.
Randy, age before beauty. Is it okay if Randy goes first, Brad?
No, let Brad go first.
Okay.
Brad wanted to go
he's
first.
so confident.
Only yes or no questions. Our guest, who dis, will only answer yes or no. And again, we might leave a little wiggle room for elaboration if we have to. So, Brad, you're the one who's got a boner already for this.
Well, wait a second. I thought 20 minutes ago I didn't have one of those.
That's what's shocking. It's secure.
You've been cured.
You're welcome.
He or she's going to hang up before we even start. Brad Ryder, our first yes or no question for our special guest as part of our new gimmick called Who Dis.
Do you have anything to do with the Timberwolves TV broadcast? No.
Okay.
I guess I'm not going to be guessing that.
You don't know so much after all, do you, Brad Ryder?
Denied.
Randy Shaver.
Are you a former Minnesota Twins player?
No.
Okay. No Twins, no Wolves affiliation.
The voice sounds just like Brad.
Brad Ryder.
Did you play hockey? Yes.
All right. Nice one, Brad Ryder.
Yeah, that was good.
How about you, ass man?
Did you play hockey for a Minnesota professional sports team?
Yes.
We got. Is that 4 questions down?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's pretty.
4.
That's 4.
Did you play hockey this season for another professional team? No.
All right. Randy Shaver. Didn't play this year for a professional. Right. Okay.
No. Did you play for the Minnesota North Stars?
Yes.
Brad Ryder. Can you put it away, or you got another question?
Did you win the Hobie Baker Award? No.
That's a good question,
That was
Brad.
That was a really good
If I had gotten a different answer, I obviously would have known.
Randy Shaver's so Iowegian, he's never even heard of the Hobie Baker
I
Award.
know what the Hobie Baker.
You've never even heard of it.
Settle down.
Randy Shaver is next. And so how many questions are we now? 6, 7?
This will be the 8th.
This will be the 8th question for Randy.
So a few listeners are texting, and they've got the answer.
Are they texting? Let me look real before you answer. Before you ask your question, Randy.
Okay.
There's some wrong ones in here, but there's a couple that got it.
There's some wrong ones, but there's a couple. Randy Shaver, go ahead.
Okay. Were you on the North Stars roster the year they left?
Yes. Ooh.
So I'm getting excited over here.
Yeah, same here.
This is fun.
Brad Ryder.
Do
Randy.
you coach high school hockey in the state of Minnesota right now? No.
You suck, Ryder. Randy Shaver, man, you guys, you got it kind of surrounded here.
Yeah. Did you play? Were you a defenseman with the North Stars that season?
No.
Not a
Oh,
defenseman.
I think I got it. Do you currently do some work for the Minnesota Wild? Yes. Mike Madonna.
Mike Madonna.
How cool is this?
That was really well done, Randy and Brad. You did great. Welcome to the Half-Ass Morning. Well, although this is the second time we've had you on, I think a few. Mike Madonna, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Yeah, that didn't take long.
No. Were you kind of worried that it would take forever and like, oh, Jesus, no one knows and no one remembers, that kind of a thing?
No, my tea time's not till 10, so I figured you'd have it done by then.
Question 57.
If I could have asked one more question, I would have said, is your wife a better golfer than you?
That would have been no.
Okay.
Oh, really? She's not, huh?
She's a really good golfer. Yeah.
What the hell do you know about his wife, Brad Ryder? Don't come off.
Well, no, I just know she used to play professional golf, that's all.
Well, we really appreciate you being our first guest for this this brand new gimmick we got around here called Who Dis. Mike Modano, I mean, we're all huge fans. We talk about the old North Star teams a lot on this program. Tell us everything you got going on these days, Mike.
Oh, boy. Well, we're coming up to our first year here living back in town, so we've had a great year being back home. Kind of where it all started. The kids are all kind of fitting in and loving life in Plymouth and school and sports, and being back involved in the community here has been great. Been loving it. So it's just been busy. We've got 5 little ones, so we're at rinks and fields and tennis courts and everything else you can name every other night. So we're busy. So, but it's been great. We always thought we'd come back to raise our kids here in the Midwest, particularly in Minnesota, and so it's been great. Been loving it.
What's the age range, Mike, of your kids?
Oh boy, we're in the thick of it here. We got a 3-year-old girl, 5 boy, 7 girl, and twins, 9 boy girl.
Wow!
Fantastic.
So you were, more physical exertion than even in your hockey playing days.
Oh, physical and mental.
Yes.
More mental than physical, I can tell you that.
For sure.
Suppose I neglected the mental part of the game. Yeah, the mental part of raising all those children.
That's a challenge. Trying to negotiate with 9 and 7-year-olds is it's demanding.
Josh is right. We did have quite a few people text in and guess. And, you'd probably be annoyed listening in on this program the way it's usually my fault. I fire up the Wayback Machine a lot and talk about the North Star teams back when you were playing, and we have a riot. I mean, what great times they were, especially, of course, 1991. Just an absolute riot.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty magical. I mean, we a lot of people here obviously still, are big North Star fans, and remember a lot of those memories, particularly like you're talking 91. It was just one of those springs that you just never imagined that would happen. I mean, we just were one of the worst teams in the league throughout the year, and somehow we managed to win, I think, 1 or 2 games of our last 3 or 4 of the season just to get in. And so then you're playing the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed, then the Stanley Cup champs from the previous year, and then Pittsburgh. So it was, the Met was rocking, and the town was going crazy. Awesome. It was just great time. I mean, even 91, 92, just in Minneapolis, the amount of sports that were going on, the Final Four, the Super Bowl, the U.S. Open, there was Twins and Kirby Puckett and 91. So it was a great year to be in the Twin Cities those particular 2 years. But, that ride we were on, boy, those 2 months of playoff hockey was, we still talk about it to this day with guys that I played with and fans who were there and followed it, and just thought it was just, it was pretty magical.
Can remember Mike Modano walking into the locker room as what were you, 18, 19 years old?
Yep.
Golly.
The hair was unbelievable.
No kidding.
It was gorgeous.
It sure was.
I know. I miss those hair days.
You're still doing all right.
It's not quite the same anymore.
And just for the record, I didn't turn my back on the Stars when they left Minnesota. I continued to follow the Dallas Stars. A lot of folks thought I was, crazy, or you should just completely shut them out of your lives. I mean, that was the roster I was familiar with, so why wouldn't I continue to follow that club? And so I was ecstatic for you guys in 1999 as well. Just absolutely ecstatic. I thought, because, you were on the club, Richard Matvichuk, Darian Hatcher. I'm trying to remember the guys that were on that 99 roster that played here in Bloomington.
Yeah, there wasn't many left. I mean, after we got down there, Neil got traded over to New Jersey, and they won the Stanley Cup that year. So Neil was happy about that. I'm sure he would have loved to have been a part of that team that we had there. But yeah, I think it was Hatch and Maddie and Sean Chambers.
Oh yeah.
Craig Ludwig.
Oh damn, yeah, he was a handsome guy.
Yeah,
Craig
very
Ludwig,
good.
yeah.
Yep, he has some good hair. And Langenbrunner, we had a few Minnesota kids. Langenbrunner was on there. God, we just cast the characters, and then we just filled some holes with some great players. We kind of lured Brett Hall away from St. Louis and Eddie Belfour from Chicago, and made some great trades and this and that. But yeah, we discussed that too with some guys that, if we would have had those teams and we would have stayed in Minnesota, what this team would have been, this league, the town would have just been going crazy for hockey. It's neat to imagine what it would have been like if we had that team and stayed in Minnesota and had those runs up until 2002. I mean, it was quite it was about 7-8 years of just a great, phenomenal team. And so it was a little different vibe and environment down in Dallas and Texas. But right now they're pretty thriving. I mean, the whole southern belt of the teams that came in the league in the early 90s and are all been doing well and won Stanley Cups, and so the game of hockey is in pretty good hands right now.
Yeah. So what's your role right now, Mike, with the North Star or with the Wild?
Well, it's a lot of work to do with the current roster guys. I mean, there's a handful of young guys, so I think it's just more just being a soundboard for those guys. There's a lot going on. Their lives are changing. It's demanding. There's a lot of stress and pressure on these young kids to come in and kind of help, turn things around and have a great career. And some of it's just more of those just talking them down a little bit. I think sometimes you get wound up and you get so strung out on some stress and pressure that it affects your game. And I was exactly like that coming in here at 18, 19. You're very your draft is so high, but the catch is you're going to the worst team in the league. So you have to work through some things and get acclimated to the game, the travel, the speed of the game. So sometimes it's just more or less just telling them and explaining to them it's not as bad as they think it is. It's just, just got to hang in there and control the things you can control. It's just more of a, extra set of eyes and ears. Sometimes they feel a little bit more comfortable talking to me because I've been through a lot of experiences and a lot of situations that, could maybe just enlighten them a little bit and kind of get their mind off some things that they just can't control sometimes.
We have Marcus Foligno of the Wild on this program every other week. Was this our first year with Marcus Foligno?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he's been awesome.
Marcus joined us every other week throughout this past hockey season, and he was such a blast to talk to. And he's a veteran player. And, he had some funny takes on the difference between the young kids and the veteran players like himself. What do you see out of the young kids that's vastly different than when you came into the league?
Oh, God.
Is the list too long to cover, or what?
I mean, technology is one of them. I mean, back then we just, you had an answering machine at home, and somehow, some way, we always ended up at the same place. We'd meet up, and you check your answer machine, and no one had phones or technology or social media, obviously, or the internet. So there's you're forced to kind of be with each other and have great relationships and be around your friends, and somehow, some way, we end up at Fletcher's on a Saturday afternoon at 4:00. No cell phones and no planning or anything, but the game has changed. I mean, there's a lot of money involved, a lot of demand to play well, and these kids are so athletic and so good. They come in, the nutrition's changed, the preparation for games, the training, just the medical and the mental side of the whole game is, sports in general across the board has changed. And so there's a lot of demand to play well. And back then with our guys, when we were young, it was just, you're coming in and just having a good time and enjoying yourself. It's a great life, and you were lucky to be able to do what we do. And, but there's a lot of demand nowadays. It's a lot of money. A lot of things are happening. So, the level of expectation has certainly grown. So, but Marcus, I love Marcus. He's a great guy. I was a big fan of his dad, Mike Foligno. He played in Detroit when I was growing up with the Red Wings. So I know his dad very well and his brothers and stuff. So they're a bit of the last little bit of the throwbacks left in the game. There's not too many of them left. So, but he's a solid dude, and he's kind of the pulse of that team right now.
Man, I bet you boys did some damage at Fletcher's back in the day.
I can't even imagine.
Mike Modano, that was where Brad Ryder might have been there, and that's when Brad just poured his drink in the garbage and he left. You know what I mean?
I would have if I'd have seen you guys walking in.
What's the point of even hanging? Here comes Modano and the damn North Stars. I'm just going to pour my drink in the garbage,
I got no chance.
Get in my lifted Jeep and get the hell out of here.
Kind of back when the Mall of America opened, too, and there were some places out there that you guys probably frequented.
Did you just...
Mike sounds exhausted, just
hungover, just remembering it.
It's probably good there's no cell phone videos of those gatherings at Fletcher's.
There would have been a lot of damage control back then.
Yeah. You needed a good PR person back then.
Oh, a handful of them, yeah, for sure. That would have been trouble. But the Long Island iced teas, and then we tie up boats with Ken Herbeck down on the Big Island. I was like, this is a good time.
I remember witnessing a couple things Chuck Knobloch did at a place in the early 90s that I'll get into some other time too, but oh my gosh.
Mike Modano.
Well, I think one of my favorite nights was after our finals. We got into the summer, and the Twins are having a phenomenal year that year and end up winning, but I think later in the summer, July, because I knew Chuck at the time. I knew a little bit of Scott Erickson and Rich Gannon, and we're all kind of hanging out and having a good time. And we all went to an Ozzy Osbourne concert at Target Center in summer of '91. And oh my God, we just had such a ball. And we went downstairs and met Ozzy, and oh God.
Now you got 5 kids.
Oh God.
Man, that window has slammed shut, hasn't it?
I know.
But it's a beautiful
kept the diary.
It's a beautiful thing, Mike Modano, because you friggin' lived it.
Memories are good. I don't need photos or videos. It's all in the mind somewhere. But yeah, I should have kept the diary. I tell myself that the last 30 years, I should have kept the diary.
You live to tell the tale.
Experiences down, and they're a lot of fun.
I remember seeing you at an AC/DC concert back in the day, and oh God dang, there's Mike Modano. We'll let you go, Mike. We know you got a tea time and whatnot, but honestly, it really does mean a hell of a lot to all of us older hockey fans. It means so much to have you back in town and working for the Wild. It doesn't matter how much time goes by; it still means a lot to have a guy like you in town. So we wish you the best of luck. Hopefully, we'll talk again. But thanks very much for taking the time and helping us out this morning.
You got it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, too. It's good to be back, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
That'd be great.
You bet. One of the best of all time.
Yeah.
KXXR, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
The part of Cumulus Media they don't want you to know about.
The home of the half-assed morning show. This is Minnesota's 93X. The half-assed morning show backtracks.
We were telling a story when we had Randy Shaver on the line, a story about some derelict down there who's involved with Augusta National Forest. What do they call the place again?
I think you nailed it.
National Golf Course?
Augusta National Golf Course, where they host the Masters Golf Showdown. He was stealing items from these past golf tournaments, the heralded green jackets, golf clubs, and T-shirts. He was stealing these items. He worked sort of for Augusta National, stealing the items, selling them to other scumbags, and making millions and millions of dollars. Got a text message from a guy by the name of Eric Jesus. I hear a lot from him. Have you guys at the radio station ever busted or caught people stealing? And were they trying to sell stuff from the station online? I told him plenty of things have been stolen. I don't remember anyone what they did with the stolen items.
Yeah, there's a couple people for sure got caught selling stuff online on Craigslist.
What were they doing?
Concert tickets.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the best, like 93X branded staff gear that they were taking out of the prize closet. So it was easy enough to figure out, well, that's obviously a staff member.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, certainly prizes that we've given away have been sold, but that's from folks that want them and aren't interested in an autographed, name the band guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right.
common.
But there was a couple of people in the past that got.
That's so crappy.
This was actually, it happened more when we were the Edge, so like 1996-ish. It happened more.
Well, there was more of a buck wild, lawless attitude around here. We had a lot of derelicts in the building.
There was one guy that I guess, so they investigated afterwards, and it was prolific. They had no idea how deep this ran.
I couldn't imagine being such a douchebag where, like, I get free tickets to a concert and then I flip them and try to make money.
Well, actually, it wasn't like his tickets, right? Like, here's the staff tickets. We used to actually hand out actual tickets. Now it's all done online and everything. But so we'd have stacks. We'd have promotions where stacks and stacks of these tickets, right? And so he would go online. And it says for promotional purposes only on the ticket.
Right, I remember that.
So they knew, well, whoever is doing this, there's, somebody shouldn't have access to this amount of tickets unless they work for the station that's handed them out.
I missed these stories. I really did. I sometimes once we get off the air, my brain goes into space. I don't pay attention to what's going on around me. So,
well, this particular guy I worked with all the time. We always worked promotions together.
And he would sell tickets online, and it was just the same guy who stole gear out of the closet and then sold it on
Different dude. But both were in promotions.
Jackets and T-shirts that said staff on them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
I worked with a guy who told me about a very elaborate scam he did when he worked out on the East Coast. So this is back in the day when radio had big prizes to give away, and they routinely were on the station were giving away trips that were valued up to like $10,000. So what he did is he contacted a travel agent. This travel agent would go to one of his, wealthy clients and say, "Hey, you know what? You're been a great client. I'll sell you this trip. It's valued at $10,000. I can get it to you for $5,000." So the guy would say, "Yeah, that'd be great." So he would type in that person's contact information as the winner of the prize, and then him and the travel agent would split like the $5,000.
Oh.
You got to know people.
How long did they get away with that?
He never got caught.
So we certainly had a lot of theft in this building that, as far as I know, people didn't get caught. One of the stories we like to tell is this was crazy where we came in one morning and they're like, "Hey, let us know what you think about the brand new Xbox, the just released Xbox." Microsoft set us up. They brought in a TV, they brought in a console, they brought in some video games. And
so exciting.
And so they're like, "Well, what'd you think?" We're like, "Of what? Of the Xbox? What Xbox?" Overnight, I mean, they had this thing like white gloved in, and we could only have it for like 24 hours. They had to return it. Somebody stole it overnight. The TV and the Xbox. Food has been stolen, certainly. Our sex doll was stolen. We had a bunch of sex toys that were dropped off from a client who wanted us to talk about them. Those were stolen. That was pretty good, though, because our current boss, sent out an email saying, "I never thought I'd have to type an email like this, but whoever stole the sex toys, can you please return them? They're not ours."
A lot of things have been swiped from this friggin' building.
Oh, yeah.
Really? You broke down some of the stories that I'd forgotten about. Lots of shifty, shady bastards around here have gotten away with a lot.
Well, because it's different now again, but back then we had so much stuff, where now it's all digital, but there was so much physical stuff, CDs, DVDs, things like that.
Yes, CDs, DVD, absolutely. You used to go into the promotions director's office is the word I'm struggling to find. We used to be able to walk into the promotion director's office, and they'd have mountains of concert tickets on their desk.
Yep.
And it was tempting at times, but I've never stolen a damn thing from this place.
I haven't either.
Not a damn thing. I do remember early in my career, Motley Crue, I think it was, came to town before they became a flaming pile of garbage. Motley Crue came to town, and I was handing out Motley Crue tickets at an event, and there were 4 of them left over that never got given away. And so I go to the Motley Crue show, and I walked out onto the sidewalk. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to scalp these tickets. And about 10 minutes in, it dawned on me, I probably am not allowed to do this.
This is illegal.
And so I handed them out to some people on the street and said, hey, do you have tickets to this show? Or do your tickets suck? These are better. And I handed them out. We never had that conversation with a boss, probably because it goes without saying. But it just suddenly dawned on me, I can probably get gassed for doing something like this.
I had gotten free tickets. So this is back when you could get free tickets to somebody like Taylor Swift, right? And when she was first getting going, and my stepdaughter was a huge, huge fan, I got some tickets, and there was a sales guy here who's like, he didn't know I got them for free. And he's like, I got a guy who will give you $1,000 a ticket. And I was like, I had no idea how big she was. No clue that she was that much of a star. And there was a very split second where I half thought about it.
Yeah.
And then I figured, well, I can't do that to the kid. And also, I'd feel like a pretty big douchebag that I got these for free, and then I'm selling them for $1,000 a piece.
Here's an interesting question. I need to know more about this. Nibbles and Bites Jesus sent in a text message. We're having a conversation about stealing. The question is, and please, if you can, give me some more information. Is it stealing, he wants to know, if the item was set aside to be recycled, even though it was once valued at $20,000? I'm asking for a friend.
Whoa.
What the hell was that, dude?
Boy, I don't know. How does that work? I mean, can you dumpster dive?
Don't know.
Yeah.
In some places,
I don't know the
believe you're
rules
allowed
on that.
to.
Unless maybe the dumpster's on private property or something. I'm not sure exactly how that works.
If it's on the curb, it's free game, right?
This person texted and said, I worked at a place where a brand new bobcat went missing. No one was ever caught.
How does something like that go missing?
I know there's something bigger that I know something happened here that was so egregious, and it's killing me. And I thought it had something to do with the vehicle. Dang it. I wish I could remember.
I don't remember a story of a vehicle being stolen.
Shoot.
Well,
There was a lot of improprieties around here with various, like, not necessarily stealing things, but getting things when you shouldn't have. Accepting things for, trading favors that you shouldn't do.
Right. I don't remember a motor vehicle.
Oh, I just remember this. We had at my last job, we were partners with a dealership in town, a really nice dealership. And we got these cars, and we were waiting for them to get wrapped, in station logos that they do. But it was taking a couple months, and we found out that one of the guys who was a promotions guy would take chicks on dates in that car as if it was his own vehicle. Somebody finally was like, how are there so many miles on this car already? And the guy got caught because he was trying to impress chicks by being like, yeah, this is my high-end sports car.
What a friggin' moron.
I know.
What it do, Jesus says, when I worked at a pizza shop. When it got busy, I'd purposely make a pizza wrong because then our boss would let us have it for free. I'm a bad boy.
You are a bad boy.
I've done that before, rein in something for the kitchen and then been like, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Guess I'll have to eat it now.
And they gave it to you?
Yeah.
I've never heard this before. This person says, it's like that old saying, it's not what you make, it's what you take. I haven't heard that before.
My brother, says a listener, got a felony charge for taking a computer out of a dumpster at a college.
Wow, felony.
Dang.
Is there a little more to that story, maybe? I don't know. It seems like there might be a little more to that story.
Yeah.
Well, it was on a desk, and I thought maybe it was going to end up in the dumpster, so I just took it off the desk and brought it home.
It was in terrible shape. It should have been in a dumpster. I took it home.
No, I'm sure Breast Bandit knows things. Breast Bandit Jesus knows things, but so this is what he says, but obviously I can't confirm it. He says dumpster diving is legal as long as the dumpster isn't fenced in. So you could go to a store right now and grab stuff out of the dumpster, he says. So I have no clue if that's true or not, but that's what he's saying.
So many that's very interesting. So many texts are coming in from folks who have had thieves at their place of business. This one, oh my damn! I worked at a bar. A pull tab box was stolen. Oh, the crook was caught the next day trying to turn in about $6,000 in winning pull tabs.
Isn't that pretty easy to track?
Oh, yeah. And they're usually double checked. I did pull tabs for a while when I was a bartender, and there's always the bartender that checks it or whoever's on shift, and then usually the manager makes sure, and then there's a whole different pull tab people that come and They are very strict.
Yeah, it's very well regulated, the pull tab game.
That is funny. That is great. Oh, yeah, it just so happened I got $6,000 here. I had a hell of a night.
All winners. Didn't want to cash them in last night. Figured I'd come back and do it today.
Thank you for the reminder. Okay, this is the vehicle one I was thinking of. So I guess I can't say this was somebody who worked here or not, but somebody broke into one of our vehicles and stole the stereo out of it. So a lot of our vehicles would have kind of kick-ass stereos in there to play at promotions and things. That's exactly what I was thinking of. So maybe it was an inside job. I don't know.
I've never been a big pull tabs guy. My neighborhood bar recently got pull tabs, and those funny little personal screens that you can finger bang, right, and play games on.
Pull tabs,
tabs.
Well, that, and you can play all kinds of other games. I haven't touched any of them yet. But wow, is it? And this neighborhood bar, we fought for years to get pull tabs and whatnot. We finally have it, and it's. I mean, you walk in for breakfast at 7 a.m. and guys and gals are. It's like putting a needle in your arm for some people. Like putting a needle in your arm, Cubby.
Cardboard crack.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was called. I was just going to ask you. I thought there was a term for it. So it's varying information from people on whether or not it is legal to, if you see something in a dumpster, you're like, oh, I'd like to take that. This person says, I'm a cop. That's not true. It's trespassing if you dumpster dive without permission.
Another listener texted in, did you hear about the guy who got fired on his day off for stealing boxes? I think that's 5 references to Friday on one radio show, and I'm proud of that.
PBR Pirate Jesus said, I worked at a retailer where they'd have to physically destroy returned items on camera before it was put in the dumpster. I know, like a friend of mine, he works at a dealership, and certain things they have to destroy before they chuck it. And he said some of that's liability, right? Like tires or something. So nobody puts them on and then sues the dealership.
Seriously, some of these stories are, wow. I mean, front page news type crooks. Worked for an armored truck company. A bag of cash was lost.
Oh, no.
Months later, an employee comes to work in a Corvette.
How are you that dumb?
Yeah.
It's like that scene from Goodfellas when they made that massive heist and Robert De Niro's character says, don't go out and buy anything fancy. Everyone shows up at the Christmas party with new cars and fur coats.
Yeah.
You got to be able to contain yourself, control yourself. If you're a part of something like that and you get your hands on, and it was shady, you got to be able to, don't show it.
Even if, let's say you legitimately purchased a Corvette, I'd be afraid to show up at work for you guys thinking I was either A, making way too much money for what I do around here, or B, something shady's going on. Bomb Dog Canine Handler Jesus says he's a retired police officer. Once the trash is at the curb, you gave up legal rights, and it's free for the taking. Trash pulls, he said, were a common tactic when he worked in narcotics to get search warrants for houses.
So I guess I don't know that we've had so many. We don't know the rules.
Not 100% sure.
Just don't take anything that doesn't belong to you. How about that?
Yep.
It shouldn't be that difficult.
Unless there's a sign that says free, don't even go near it.
Stealing boxes. What are you going to build, a clubhouse? Yeah, I don't know.
This person says some idiot got fired during COVID for stealing toilet paper out of the bathroom. And he said, I don't know why they would steal it because that was the world's worst toilet paper.
Yeah.
The toilet paper rush during the, what do they call that event again? The
pandemic?
Pandemic, yeah.
I remember that crossing my mind when I ran out of toilet paper at home, and I was here because for some reason in the women's bathroom, the toilet paper is never on the roll. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but then I thought, this is literally the worst toilet paper ever. I'd rather just use my left sock than use this toilet paper.
Gas station toilet paper? Very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Very uncomfortable. I've done some creative things to try to make gas station toilet paper comfortable, and I've failed every time.
Use the whole roll.
Oh, God, and it hurts. It hurts.
Simon here. Simon says he worked at a gas station. They had to throw all the hot food after a certain time. They weren't allowed to eat it because the idea was they would intentionally cook too much food, is what they thought.
Yep, I remember having those rules.
And he says we ate it anyways.
Yeah, smart.
That's a waste. I understand, but come on.
I used to work at a sandwich place, and it was the same thing with the bread at the end of the night. you would just throw out so much bread because it had to be made fresh for the next day. It just was like heartbreaking throwing away all that food.
I love these stories of crooked thievery and shady behavior. It's very interesting and fun. Life of crime doesn't sound that bad after all, Josh.
Oh, I don't know if it's for me.
Sounds like a lot of laughs.
I got a couple bad examples in the family. Didn't work out for them.
Yeah, the guilt would kill you, Josh, even if you got away with it.
What? I stole a bag of money. Now I got a Corvette. What's the problem?
I'm happy.
A few minutes ago, we were going back and forth about folks who steal from their workplace. Some great stories. Great stories. Josh had a few great stories about here at this awful radio station, and then listeners were texting in. This guy stole this. He comes back with that.
I forgot about one here.
That?
And it's just a little different, but Wisco Trim Carpenter, Jesus reminded me, we once had Ashley steal a car where she legitimately thought she stole a coworker's vehicle.
I still get questions about that. People are like, oh my gosh, you did so good, like acting like you actually thought you stole a car. And I'm like, no, I actually thought I stole somebody's vehicle.
You did.
That was just good setup on our part.
Yeah, you guys killed it.
Well, yeah, so the gist was a coworker of ours, Ross, he has many, many cars because he's very wealthy. And he brought one in that Ashley had never seen. And we told Ashley it was a salesperson's car. And we noticed on the way in they accidentally left the keys in it. And we said, hey, how about you just go grab the car and go run through the McDonald's drive-thru? And so you legitimately thought you didn't even know whose car it was, and you went and did it and called us from the road.
Yeah, and I would have, especially at that time, I would have done anything you guys asked. I was like, all right, sure, let's do it.
Oh, it's funny. I'm sorry, Ashley, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say my favorite part is you guys are so good. Like, I'm so gullible. Is off air before I took the car, I stopped before I left, and I asked you, Josh and Nick, am I going to get in a lot of trouble? Like, are you guys going to protect me if I get caught doing this? Am I going to get fired? And you guys were like, yeah, no, we got your back. Don't worry. It'll just blow over, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's funny. I wasn't expecting the response, but a few people did text in and were really pissed. Like, how could you do this to her? You're encouraging her to commit a crime. and obviously I couldn't say, hey, it's all a setup. It's a bit. We never would really do this in real life. But you thought you stole a car. That's pretty
fun.
cool.
We also got to talking about dumpster diving. Is it legal? We got a dozen different answers. So we covered all different elements to stealing. And I got a text message from a legit dumpster diver. I've never talked to someone who regularly got themselves involved in such things, but here's the text. Hi, I routinely dumpster dive looking for high-end stuff. He was dumpster diving at a hospital and found medical equipment that had never been used. And he says, I have a garage full now, and I don't know what to do with it. That's really interesting. Maybe you can get back to me. Is this an addiction? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just truly curious about this. You dumpster dive regularly looking for expensive stuff. Is that an addiction? How did that start? Did you come from a family that were really obsessive about money, were really cheap, really tight about people really obsessed with free items? Are you a hoarder? I need to know more about this.
Yeah, I'm curious about it too. Or maybe they're making some good money doing it. When we moved, we had a dumpster, and we had dumpster divers to the point where there was a couple of people that went through it, and I just went out and said, "Hey, what are you looking for?" And let them know what was in there to save them a little bit of the effort. And I felt kind of guilty. Like, I didn't think anybody would want this garbage.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, go ahead and take it. Smokes your mom's pot, Jesus reminds us the time Ashley thought she stole a car. You also thought you stole money. Remember we had left some cash in the glove compartment?
Yeah.
And that's what you used to pay for the food?
To buy the McDonald's, yeah. And then once I found out that it was our ex-coworker's car, I told him, I was like, I'm keeping the change. This is what you get.
Yeah,
I wish we had more time. There are a lot of great texts coming in.
I need to know more about this dumpster diving routine. I could not bring myself to do that. And it's not just related to the filth that I'm sure you're waiting around in most dumpsters. I don't know. I just couldn't bring myself to think, well, it's time to make a day's pay and then go sifting through a dumpster to try to find something of value. That it has to go back to something you were taught, some amount of guilt that your parents taught you over money or something like that. Don't you think so, Josh?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what's keeping you away from it?
No, why you would go ahead and do it in the first place.
Yeah, or, you could just be someone that thinks people are too wasteful. I mean, and that's how I felt when we had our dumpster. I'm like, I didn't realize anybody would want this. Like, boy, maybe I should have thought this through. I donated all the stuff I thought people would want, and then we chucked the stuff we thought, well, nobody's going to want this trash.
Well, maybe I'll get a response. That really interests me.
I wonder, like on construction sites, if how often those dumpsters are gone through, just in case they're like, oh, we could use this lumber or, whatever they decide they can still use out of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I grew up with a kid whose parents were the types who would sweep the ketchup packets into their pockets when no one was looking at a fast food restaurant, and they always wanted to know what everything was worth and how much did you spend for that on that, and they would grill their children over what did you spend your money, and I'm going to go with this. I think that's got to be why you end up digging through a dump, but I don't know.
My grandmother-in-law, my wife's grandma, she would steal stuff. I didn't know her very well. She passed shortly after I met her, and which I think was probably on purpose on her part. She didn't want me marrying in the family. She used to take stuff right off the table for anytime they went out. My mom, that's a little creepy. My wife had said, like, she had salt and pepper shakers from any restaurant you could think. She had the napkin holders, glasses, silverware. It was a compulsion for her.
Whoa.
Yeah, a friend of mine's grandma, she did what was called lost and found shopping. They'd be at a restaurant, and she goes, yeah, last time I was in here, I left my black sunglasses. Just a generic term. Or like, I left my umbrella here last time. Did you guys happen to get an umbrella turned in? And then she would if they end up like, oh, yeah, we have this black sunglasses. She goes, oh, yeah, those are them. Thank you. And then she would take them.
That would work on me. I would believe her 100% of the time.
I would, too.
A sweet old grandma? Yeah, of course.
People are saying, yes, construction sites. That's big. Big for dumpster diving.
Okay, I got a text back from the original dumpster dive texter that I was talking about. He says he went through some hospital dumpsters and found some medical stuff that should be worth a lot of money. He doesn't know what to do with it. And my question was, how did this start? Well, he doesn't say anything about his upbringing or anything. He just simply says it started with lumber and the amount of stuff that gets wasted on construction sites. So that's what he started with, lumber, construction site stuff. And then it spiraled out of control from there. But here's what he says. I routinely make $4,000 to $5,000 a month just reselling people's stuff out of dumpsters.
Wow. That's... I should get this guy's number in case we got stuff to get rid of. Go ahead. You can make the money on it. We just don't want it.
We never really got a real definitive answer as to how much trouble you could get in for such a thing. But, we had varying texts on the legalities of dumpster diving. But, hey, dude, a hell of a deal if you can get her done.
This person says that construction sites get rooted through constantly. Scrappers get into fights on their sites over the scrap. And he said, we got to kick them out at times.
No way.
I'd love to be in the front row for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
My dad does find some cool stuff because he's been a carpenter his whole life. And he has came home with some really cool old-looking, like, furniture, like an old-school bicycle, stuff like that from doing that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff in there.
All right. Yeah, suit yourself.
Does he do anything with them, actually?
My mom would say no, and they need to get out of the garage. But he's hanging on to it, I guess, for future.
Because we have
investments.
Is he a hoarder?
He's got a touch of it.
Does he? Just a little bit? Yeah. Yeah, because we've got a really crappy dresser. It's really bad, and we were gonna, just put it for free online. Like, if anybody wants this, great. If not, we're just gonna chop it up and burn it or something. But my stepdaughter's like, no. I I want to rehab this thing and maybe sell it or whatever.
And how far has she gotten?
Well, she realized how tough it is to sand one of those things. It's been sitting in our garage. I even told her, I said, I think this is going to be a bigger project than you're imagining it to be. Like, I think you're really going to have to put in a little elbow grease. And her boyfriend did most of the work, and then they both decided, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
People are different. Some people can look at anything and see value in it. I am the absolute opposite.
Yep.
I cannot wait to throw things away, and I don't care what you think it's worth. It's gone. If it's in my way, it's gone.
Be kind and rewind. The Half-Assed Morning Show Rewind.
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning wants to wish you a happy holiday season and wants to let you know that Standard Heating is ready if you face a heating emergency. Their expert team is available through the holidays to make sure you stay warm and safe, no matter what. Become a Smart Club member so that you'll have peace of mind knowing that you're covered for the upcoming winter season. For more info or 24/7 emergency heating services, call 612-824-2656. Comfort you deserve since 1930.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Named one of the best personal finance podcasts, The Stacking Benjamin Show with Joe and his friends makes financial literacy fun.
Back when I needed money, a lot of money, there were things that I did during my I need money years. One was really stupid. I didn't pay any attention to my expense line. I just thought if I keep making more money, life will get better. And that is a total lie. If you never keep track of the bottom line, no matter how much money I made, I spent that and more.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, I would just mess that up.
Find out more by searching the Stacking Benjamins podcast, wherever you listen.
The Half-Assed Morning Show backtracks.
We have visitors joining us in studio, an old pal and hopefully a new one from the Minnesota State Patrol, Lieutenant Gordon Schenk and Lieutenant Mike Lee. Good morning, Mike and Gordo.
Morning.
I got the proper title for you, right, Mike?
That's it.
Lieutenant.
Mike Lee.
Wonderful to have you guys.
Mine's wrong, but that's okay.
Wait a minute, what are you now?
Captain.
Captain? Well, nobody thinks
No
of you
one cares
that way.
about that.
You're still disrespected, aren't you?
That's just
Captain
normal.
Gordon Schenk.
I get disrespected at home. I come here. And
Your buddies text you while you're on the air and rip you too?
oh, yeah. Every day.
Well, I'm sorry.
I don't care.
You
I'm
just got
sorry.
demoted.
You've been called worse. Yes, that's very true.
What's going on? What's going on? Great to see you again,
Hey, great
Gordo.
to see you. It's been a while. We've been busy this summer, but I'm here to. Jill has now been promoted to captain, so she's our East Metro.
We
captain.
knew that. We were
Yes,
aware.
I knew. See,
We always call her captain.
Yeah, we were at the party and everything.
exactly. I didn't get the invite. That's interesting.
How many captains you got over there?
Endless.
Endless?
I'm kidding. We have a few. There's a few all around the state. We have it broken up into districts. So there's for example, a captain in Thief River Falls, Duluth, St. Cloud. We have a few Metro captains. So
Well, what can a captain do that a lieutenant can't?
so much more.
Yeah.
And so I'm here to pass it on to the next one. Mike Lee is the lieutenant of our public information. So I'm just here to
pass the baton.
Yeah, I'm. You guys, I'll act like I'm not even here.
Hey,
you guys do your thing.
Do you mind me asking a question? How come all these other people get promoted so much faster than you did, out of curiosity?
I've often thought about that.
Because Jill was it lasted 2 weeks before she got a promotion.
I know, and I was here for 5 years?
Yeah,
something like
That's
that.
embarrassing.
It's a testament to your good work.
Yeah. That's what
Maybe
they
you can
say.
come on back.
If you have a question for our state patrolman, 651-989-9393. We've had Captain Schenk coming in for years, back when he was a lieutenant.
Yeah.
And fielding questions. If you got something on your mind about the rules of the road, how come I can't do this? What are the rules on the 651-989-9393? Let's get to know Mike now. Mike Lee, how long you been in the business?
Actually, Captain Schenk and I are out of the same class, so I started back in 2011.
Okay.
I worked West Metro for a while, and then I was promoted over to East Metro in 2019, and then I've been here in this PIO role for about a couple months, early July.
Are you a Minnesota guy?
I am.
You're
Yep.
from? Where are you from?
I grew up in Shoreview, and
Okay.
I live there now.
That puts you a notch above Schenk because he's from Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try not to hold it against him.
Oh, no.
You can only do so much.
So you guys knew each other when you were first getting started.
Yes.
You know what? He's a great friend.
Training and all that, right?
Yes. There's been times where I was, you're a young guy, you end up in a pickle. He's let me crash at his house a few times.
Oh, yeah?
He's a great guy.
What are you doing?
Can I ask you something? Why'd you say pickle?
Because I knew that you'd say it, so I had to bring it up.
For anybody who hasn't heard, I was at the state fair. It was a car show at the state fair, and I had a giant pickle, and I was so excited to eat it. I'm talking to a bunch of alpha males here with Captain Schenk and some of his partners. And as soon as I walked across the street, I realized, oh my God, I was going for that pickle that entire conversation. And I had texted you and said, hey, I'm sorry about that. I hope you didn't notice. And you mentioned, oh no, we all noticed.
Yes, it was the talk for a little bit.
So I want to go back to the beginning again, where Mike and Gordon knew each other when you were just starting off. You're training to become officers. At any time, Mike, did you think of Gordon, oh, this guy's not going to make it? Or Gordon, did you think that about Mike?
I'll let you go first, and then my answer will be dictated.
No, I remember meeting Mike in the academy. You know, the academy is it's part of like the state patrol. It's kind of stressful. You're in the barracks. You're running around at Camp Ripley. He was a really sharp, squared away kid. I remember meeting him. I'm like, man, this guy's squared away. Mm-hmm. And no, I never had that concern with him. But me, I was circling the drain all the time.
Yeah, squeaked by.
That's not true at all.
I think everyone had it pegged that Gordon would be like something to look up to, and he's going to climb the ladder of this agency, and he has. He will continue.
So you
very slowly, yes, he has.
One rung every couple of years.
You saw something in him right away, Mike.
I did.
All right.
Oh boy,
it's very nice of you to say.
More anxiety than Hair Jesus says he has a question about dash cams. Thinking about getting one. In your opinions, are they worth it?
I mean, there's obviously times when we do.
Wait a minute, I thought you were passing the baton.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. You take that.
I speak when I'm told to speak.
Yep. Bob will turn his mic off.
Yep, I'm going to cut mine off. You go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's personal preference. But, yeah, if you feel like you have the desire to buy the dash cam and maybe protect yourself and be able to observe things. And we get some stuff sent in to us through our axons, our evidence log. Of some unsafe driving behavior. We appreciate that, but I mean, there's no law. You don't have to do anything. I think sometimes it helps your insurance too if you have a dash cam.
I was wondering that, yeah, if that's where it comes in the most handy.
When you guys have beer parties, do you sit around and watch dash cam videos of just ridiculous things?
Beer parties. You're going to have to explain that. I'm not quite sure what that means.
What's the funniest thing either one of you have ever seen on a dash cam?
Oh, boy.
You know, one time I did see a guy, and it wasn't mine, but we have to review them because that's part of the roles as supervisors to make sure that everything that troopers are operating within policy, things of that nature. There was an individual that was being investigated for DWI, and he starts doing field sobriety, and you walk in a straight line, and so he's talking about walking in a straight line. Well, he goes, I want to show you something. So he starts walking the line. He says, I want to show you something else. And he does a flip, and he falls down on the ground. And I'm like, oh, my God. He just completely ruined his entire...
Beautiful.
Yes. So, I mean, it's just funny. You see those things, you're like, you can't make it up.
No.
I'll tell you, I can get lost watching those dash cam videos.
Yeah.
And why is it in Russia there's always a tank that crosses the road? Seems like there's tanks everywhere in Russia.
Everyone just has a personal tank.
That's just a totally different world over there, for God's sake. What about you, Mike? Did you have a great dash cam video story?
I don't know. The one I can think of, unfortunately, it's sent in by a trooper of another trooper sliding down a hill unintentionally and just kind of eating it. So luckily there were no injuries in that one, just a lot of embarrassment.
Cop falls down a hill.
Yeah.
I can see how that could be funny.
Can you ever live something like that down?
You can't. And that's the thing with troopers is that if you have something like we have another trooper that fell on ice. And so they made like a video of it, of him just repeatedly falling on the ice, and they slow motioned it down, like grunting.
Oh,
it's
awesome.
just...
That's at the Christmas
That's magical. I mean, that's what makes all the miserable parts of your job worthwhile.
Yeah, so when you see those things, it's pretty funny.
Oh, now that Colonel Langer's gone, longtime chief of the State Patrol, let's talk some trash about him.
All right.
You got anything you want to throw out there?
He was a pretty straight-laced guy.
Very straight-laced
I didn't
guy.
have much on him, much dirt. He was always on his A game.
It'd be tough to blackmail him for something,
It
wouldn't
would. I think it's nearly impossible.
Kind of a golden boy.
Yes. He's a great leader. He did a great job. We have a great colonel now. When he was here, he was really he was always on his A game. So
yeah, we do miss having him around.
Yeah,
he's a sneakily funny guy. Like you might not realize
very
how funny
dry.
he was.
He's very clever.
Yes, you had to pick up on it, and then you'd be like, he's joking right now.
Yeah,
But it's hard to tell sometimes.
A little bit, but once you get to know him, you realize he's very funny.
We have Captain Gordon Schenk and Lieutenant Mike Lee. Mike Lee. Okay, I thought maybe I screwed that. I've been screwing everything else up this morning. In studio with us, taking questions. Josh, you had one over there?
Yeah, so I heard there's going to be a law change here, and so people have questions on motorcycle lane splitting.
Oh, yeah.
What are the rules on that? Who has the right of way? Speeds? How fast can you go? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty tricky law for everyone to understand and for us to enforce as well. Ultimately, the important thing is that it's down to like 10 to 15 miles an hour. I can't remember exactly.
Sorry to interrupt, Mike. Can you get right up on that microphone?
Sure, yeah. I saw Gordon get too close to this mic, and it made me feel uncomfortable.
It did hit me in the face.
This is your first time here. You don't want to be spitting all over the microphones.
No, yeah.
Where Gordon's been here many times, he doesn't care what he leaves behind.
Yep, that's right.
I need to
Mike
get
hit
right
him in
up
the
on that
face, you're
someday.
talking about pickles. I don't know what's going on here.
I brought a banana.
Oh, here we go.
Gosh.
Thanks, guys.
You were talking about motorcycle lane splitting.
Right, yeah. I think it's down to 10 to 15 miles an hour. Obviously, the motorcyclist has to drive carefully while splitting lanes. But yeah, this is going to be a tricky law. It's already into effect August 1st of this year. So.
Yeah, because you guys, August 1st, okay. You both made a face when I mentioned, so obviously this is something you're not a fan of, or why the face? WTF?
I was just looking at him to see if he was going to answer or not, or who was going to take it. That's what it was more.
Oh, okay.
And that's what my face looks like.
Yeah. But I think, for us, like our job is to interpret the laws that are passed by legislators. So we'll do our best to obviously still promote traffic safety with any laws such as this one. So, we'll work through it.
I like this question because it suggests it's going to affect their weekend. How fast do you have to be going before it's considered reckless?
Yeah, is there a number?
Condition dependent?
Yeah, it's a variety of factors. It does depend on the trooper, too. I've seen troopers cite between 20 or so over, but that also factors in other parts of their driving conduct. But then some troopers, will write it at 90 or faster, so it kind of depends on the trooper as well.
Mike Lee, what does a yellow light mean?
Means to be aware of the
crap.
Not a Taxi fan. He's too young.
I was hoping you'd say slow down. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
It's a joke, old television show. What do the blue and yellow light means on the HOV lanes? Is this for troopers to see who's paying and who's cheating?
Correct. I think it's blue and white now, isn't it?
Okay.
It's like a. Is it yellow?
It might be amber too.
So Mike actually worked in that area for a little while in the Easy Pass unit, so he's got some knowledge on that.
I did, yeah. I was there for a couple of years doing that HOV enforcement. Essentially, there's a transponder reader when you go into that lane, and then it'll read the transponder if you are paying for it or if you're not. So it simply indicates if you're paying for it, it'll be a certain color. If you're not, it'll be the other color.
Okay. So that is what it's for,
yes.
to indicate. Okay.
So if the driver has a blue, if the light flashes blue, they're a valid tag. If no tag's detected, an amber light will light up, and so that just gives the trooper an idea of whether that person should be in that lane or not.
Okay. R6 Jesus wants to know the laws for glow kits on motorcycles. Can you ride with one of those LED glow kits on?
Dude.
Cool.
All right. It does look pretty cool, but doesn't mean it's legal. Yeah, there's only certain colors that are legal while operating your motor vehicle on Minnesota roadways. So it can either be white or red, orange for a blinker. But yeah, any of the other colors, like red and blues, obviously that's for us, emergency vehicles and stuff like that. So yeah, there's some restrictions on what colors you can have.
You know the amber lights on top of a pickup truck? I've heard varying size of pickup before you have to have that. What is the size of a pickup that you before? Because somebody was telling me, oh, you need it on an F-250, and other people are saying, no, it's got to be bigger than that. Because basically I have a 1500, I want them on my truck, and I want to know if I can say, oh, it's pretty close to the law. I'm just trying to. But instead, I just want to look badass.
Is he doing a truck flex right now? Is that what?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
I'm kidding.
He would never truck flex.
No.
Yeah.
You guys have fans.
Why? Do you have the answer to the
I'm
question?
sorry, Mike. You go.
Yeah.
Mike, this is you. You're going to sink or swim. I'm out.
Dude, we both know that I'm going to sink. I'm like fast. And I'm fine with that. This is my life. Yeah, no, there's no size requirement of the vehicle. And do you mean flashing amber lights?
No, just like the little ones up top. You know, that's like you see them on a lot of work trucks and stuff like that.
Right.
Meaning like if a contractor or something like that.
Yeah, I think part of it's over 80 inches wide.
Oh, it's that big. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
Is that
not
you?
like, what's that?
Is that you with your 1500?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't have like a 2500 or 3500. I'd be made fun of if I put them on my truck.
Yeah, so and it depends. So like spotlights, or what they call KC lights, they can't be operated on a public highway unless the auxiliary lights are within the height requirements. So,
I've been seeing a lot more of those lately.
Yeah, so it would depend on the height of the vehicle and things of that nature. Kind of what Mike had mentioned, but and I'm just trying to look here. I have a little cheat sheet on it, but if they're outside the requirements, they must be covered. So you have to cover them.
All right. I was saying earlier, you guys have fans in our listening audience. Now, this is not a question, just a listener who texted in. Wants to give a shout out to Lieutenant Lee. He's a great leader and mentor. I'd like to thank him for his 10 years of time with the State Patrol Special Response Team. And a shout out to Captain Shank as well. It was a long awaited, but he's an awesome new captain and leading the West Metro with a great sense of humor.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, you're an awesome guy. That's we knew that. We knew that.
Appreciate
That's
that.
nice to hear.
Very kind words.
Yeah.
What the listeners don't know is we just sent those texts in about ourselves. Thanks for reading that.
By the way, thank you to the Brotherhood. Clearance lights was the word. I couldn't remember the title of them.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Our guests in studio. It's the damn cops. Captain Gordon Shank. Sure, you remember him. And a new guy, at least new to us, Lieutenant Mike Lee, both of the Minnesota State Patrol. Cincinnati Bengals jokes are being texted in.
I knew it.
For Gordon Shank.
It's been a dark time.
How
for
about
me.
your team? Yeah.
Man, I'm at a loss. I'm happy for the Vikings. They're doing really well. It's good for the city. But me, I'm hurting right now.
I'll bet.
Yes.
Deep down inside.
St. Paul Library Truck Jesus has a question I don't think we've ever been asked before.
Perfect. Oh, boy. This is great.
And I actually kind of love this. How long can I stay in a roundabout before a cop pulls me over?
You know what? That's pretty funny because I've seen cars where I think they just realized they went the wrong way and they went in a complete circle, and I'm like, what is this person doing? I don't really know if there's a law on that.
I don't think
Hey,
so.
kids, Big Ben.
That's exactly what I was picturing, Dana.
Just end up making yourself vomit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Over and over.
I got to admit that it's only recently that I'm used to those damn things.
Yeah.
The first couple times, I thought, okay, I'm a grown man and I have no idea what's expected of me here.
They're tricky.
But now it's automatic. But yeah, the first couple times I was so thrown. I'd forgotten all about them.
I have a few of them in Lakeville where I live, and my great aunt was in town from Florida, and so I'm driving, and I don't think they have them in Florida. I don't know if they do or not, but I start going into the roundabout, and she's screaming at me like, "What are we doing? There's cars coming at me."
Right.
Relax. But for someone that doesn't deal with them, it's probably like an anxiety fear factor thing. I don't know.
Oh, funny. Sure seems when they're new, people aren't really
Yes.
excited about it.
So she was shouting at an individual who trained for all of
Yeah,
this,
she's
right?
shouting at me like,
Right.
like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna drive blindlessly into this here. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Interesting question here, texted in from a listener. You guys tell me, is it true that only state troopers have the authority to perform traffic stops on VDL vehicles like school buses and other buses?
No.
Okay, that's kind of
Local,
what I thought. Local cops can pull over. I don't know. Some people, they get these ideas, but...
Now, we do have in the state patrols. We have school bus inspectors. Those are both state troopers, and we have a civilian position that does that as well. So basically, they go to the school bus companies and they inspect their buses randomly, or if there's an issue with it, like there's a mechanical defect. Those are things that we do specialize in. But, I mean, every law enforcement officer has the ability to, every licensed one has the ability to make a traffic stop on a school bus.
Are
or
there
something
seat
of that
belts on school buses nowadays?
At least they're not for my kids.
nature.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see
On
them
some
on
of them.
Some buses.
Yeah.
On the good ones, the nicer schools have the seatbelts.
I thought I heard somewheres that they were going to, try to put that together from one end of town to the other. Seatbelts on the buses. Oh my God! I mean, boy, we would have fought to the death for that.
Yeah,
You know what I
kid-
mean?
My kid just came home yesterday, and my daughter, she's the the snitch of the family, and she has like a list every day. She's like, well, your son, which is her brother, he was standing up and got yelled at repeatedly. And I'm like, oh my God, could you imagine trying to belt him down?
Well, I mean, yeah, when we were kids, what would we have done if we couldn't just run wild up and down the school bus and hopping over seats and things like that?
Yes.
That was some of the best times of our lives.
We're getting a lot of questions on lights. Light bars. Can you drive with your LED light bar on?
LED light bar.
That's a good
Mike
question.
Lee. Question to you, Mike Lee.
Man, I feel like I should pass this off to Shank, but
I'm out. I'm not even here.
might fall under
Don't
commercial
exist.
vehicle. Yeah, the important thing is that your headlights need to project a certain amount of lumens when it's appropriate, before sunrise, after sunset, inclement weather, all that stuff. So just make sure the proper amount of lumens are displayed. But yeah, that's a good question. I'll probably have to look that up and see what the answer
Yeah,
is.
there's
If
people
I'm,
are.
if I'm
And I think it depends.
invited back.
Like if they have if their light bar is like a flashing light bar, like you can't have that. Like I think we'd need to know the specifics of what they specifically have. But a lot of things fall under prohibited lights, and a lot of the times people, let's be honest, they try to put things on their vehicle that they probably shouldn't have. So just know that if you have something that you're like, I think this might be illegal, it probably is.
Okay. Okay.
Because people were texting on both sides. Some
Yeah.
people want to know, can I turn mine on when I'm driving? And other people are like, I absolutely hate them. How is it legal to have those things on? Maybe it blinds some folks. I'm not sure.
I'll tell you what, you guys are both long-time veterans of law enforcement. We always get people texting in wanting to know, how can I land that gig?
Yeah.
And you've mentioned many times on the program before, Gordon, how folks can get themselves involved.
Yeah, you go ahead, Mike. You're the pitch guy now.
Yeah, thanks.
You got to get used to this, Mike.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I'll ever get used to anything. I just get told what to do. So our application process is closed. However, I think it's going to open back up towards the end of the year.
Mhm.
So there's a couple options we have. We have the LEDO program where we pay an hourly wage for you to attend school, and we'll pay for your schooling to get a degree. And then you'll go to our academy.
Would you recommend any universities? You talk about, you'll pay for the individual to get a degree.
So basically what we do is we pay for your skills, your peace officer training. So at like Hennepin Tech or Rasmussen, wherever, and we have contracts where we basically already have hired the person. And that's what I did. When I went to Hennepin Tech, but I was paid by the State Patrol. And I already had a 2 or 4 year degree. So you can have a degree in anything. And so that's what Lieutenant Lee's talking about. We have that opportunity. And so then after we pay for your peace officer training, you go to our State Patrol Academy. You're already an employee, you're already hired. It's just we give you an opportunity for maybe someone that's interested in law enforcement that doesn't already have that. Let's say they want to change in what they're doing. They want to change in their career in their 30s, 40s. We even have people in their 50s that join the State Patrol. So that's one of the options we have. And that's on mntrooper.com, all of that stuff. And the other option is someone that already has those qualifications. They've already paid for their peace officer training. They can join the State Patrol, and they just jump right into the academy.
I just turned 53 years old. I
You can
cannot
join.
imagine.
Come on
I
over.
cannot
Yeah.
imagine how horribly I would fail on day one.
That academy, it's eye-opening.
That's
It's a
what
lot
we've
of fun.
heard. We've heard it's really difficult. Like
lot of
I'm
fun.
not, I know there's like a joking rivalry between you guys and city cops, and like even the city cops I've talked to said that's no joke. Their academy's for real.
It's challenging, but it's rewarding too, and it puts you in a great position when you come out of the academy that you're prepared to, focus on traffic safety, being a state trooper, all of those things. We work alone a lot. There's troopers in Greater Minnesota that don't have help for 30 to 45 minutes from where they're at. So it really preps you for being able to work independently and focus on the things that we need to do in this agency.
There you go. So we're going to see.
Are you going to apply? Is that what
I would be worthless. I mean, I think I could probably. What's the word? I was always when I was in school. They always said you're not blanking.
Applying yourself?
Applying yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I could apply myself enough to learn the laws. The written stuff. I think I could apply myself well enough. But when it came time to run. Or any of the physical, I'd be absolutely gassed.
Picturing you in that outfit.
Be terrible.
Too.
I can't run. Oh,
Nick in the hat would be great.
With the flip, can I wear flip flops?
Only on Fridays. Yeah. It's usually like in the winter too, so I don't know if you want to wear flip flops.
Winter time.
Yeah.
See, I hate winter now. I just stay in. Josh and I just stay inside in the winter now.
I always thought, like, if I was going to speed, maybe I could get away with it a little more if there's some snow on the ground or it's raining. Because, obviously they want you slowing down even further. But also then the cops got to think about, do I really want to get out of the car?
That's a terrible time to speed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I know enough cops to know that they are thinking, boy, I don't know, it's really cold out there.
I really don't want to get out of my car right now.
Yeah, the squad's so nice and warm.
Yep.
Well, welcome to the mix, Mike Lee. It's really nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to be on here. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we hope to see more of you. We're going to see more of you and less of Gordon Shank.
That's right.
Mike, did Gordon tell you anything about us before you guys got here?
All good things.
Yeah?
All good things.
Come on. What did he say?
I don't think I can use the words he used.
Unbelievable. I knew it. We say the same things about Gordon.
I believe it.
Thanks, boys, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Nice
very
to meet
much
you,
for
Mr.
coming in.
Lee.
Have a great weekend.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks Edition.
Knowing Ollie is the way that I do, none of us, correct me if I'm wrong here, Josh, none of us, and I include myself in this, maybe with the exception of Ashley, maybe, none of us strike me as the type who would just up and do anything on a dare.
I used to be that way in high school.
I used to be too.
There was a couple of guys that were extreme enough where they would do absolutely anything. I would certainly have my limits, but I would be one of those guys.
You were?
Oh, yeah. In high school. I've become
What were some of the things that you would do? What were some of the things that you did?
Driving stupid, a lot of that.
Oh.
We used to
I know you've never backed down when you were a kid. You never backed down to an eating challenge.
Oh, yeah, I would do anything like that. We used to, I don't know how much I can say. It was all bad ideas.
Bad behavior.
Not necessarily like evil bad, but bad ideas like we would crawl underneath giant bridges, like the bridge over the Mississippi here, over the Cedar Avenue Bridge. We would go
Someone's
underneath
texting in right now to ask if you spotted Tara Reid down there. I know they are. Folks can't let go of that. Crawling under bridges.
We would climb, scale buildings.
Scale buildings?
We would do stuff like that people would dare us to do.
All right, so you used to have that element in you.
Yeah.
You're a grown man now with children. Well, anyone else have a comment? As far as today goes, would you agree with me that maybe with the exception of Ashley, we're not that crowd anymore?
No, I got nothing to prove.
Where's Ashley?
Yeah, I'll do just about anything.
You will to this day. You'll do just about anything.
Yeah, I mean,
on a dare, on a challenge is what I mean.
Yeah, when people say that it's like a dare, it just takes things to another level. You're like, it's a
I
dare.
didn't know that about
Especially
you.
If they double dog dare you, you're screwed.
I lost my most, and this is many, many years ago, my most recent, it was very humbling, my most recent, food challenge. There was I visited a friend who lives in California, and we went to Disneyland. We went to, I forgot they call it, the Hollywood Walk or something like that. And there was a Buca de Beppo restaurant there. And they have, family-sized meals.
I remember those joints.
And I had bet the server I could eat an entire thing of spaghetti by myself. And I was very confident. Very confident. And we bet $100. Right?
You and the server?
Yeah, we bet $100, and she's like, "There's no way." I'm like, "She doesn't know who she's messing with."
Man.
And I barely got through half, and I thought I could have kept going, but I thought for sure that I was going to barf, and I'd ruined the rest of my vacation, so I stopped. That was humbling. That's the one and only time I ever couldn't get through one of those challenges, and I haven't done it since.
All right, so keep this in mind, folks who are joining us in Wisconsin a couple weeks from now at Turtle Lake Casino. Ashley cannot turn down a dare.
I barely entertain dares anymore.
No, I never was that type of guy. We all had friends, or maybe still do have that friend, who will do any damn thing if dared, if challenged.
I mean, there were a couple guys in high school, we just wouldn't challenge them anymore because there was no point. They would do it. I mean,
there'd be no drama to it.
So I went to Catholic school, and one time there's a bunch of nurses hanging out at a picnic table right there in the quad. And we had told one of our buddies, hey, go up there, put one leg on the bench, and start talking to them. Don't make any reference to it, but pee your pants. And he did it.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, and that's one of the more mild ones that I'm comfortable sharing on the radio.
Wow.
He would do absolutely anything.
You Catholic school kids were wild.
I wish nurses would have hung out at my high school, but anyway, especially dudes. Some dudes can't handle their manhood being challenged. And then, of course, you got to factor in, the idea that some people will do anything for attention.
Yes.
Or to create an image of themselves that really doesn't exist. A few of the wilder, I'll do anything type dudes I grew up with, Josh, I know for a fact that they'd go home and cry themselves to sleep. But they wanted so badly to be a wild character, but it wasn't their true self. Where I'm going with all this, and, we can continue to discuss, people in your lives or people that used to be in your lives who were those dare takers, those folks who, if you challenged them, they'd do anything. But the reason why I brought it up was Wapple and I saw something yesterday that gave us an idea. As some of our listeners know, maybe others aren't aware, and why would you care? But it is a conversation that we have on this show from time to time. This building has been under renovation for what now, Josh? 15 years?
Something like that. Yeah. And, I mean, it's been a lot of hurry up and waits and then pulling back. Like, okay, got to get everything out of this place. We're going to start on Monday, and it never happens.
So, there are empty wings of this building now where just everyone and everything is gone.
Garbage everywhere.
Yeah, like old computer monitors just scattered throughout.
Old computer monitors, microphones, telephones. There are some rooms that are just filled with garbage. That's how it plays out, I guess.
The telephone thing is absolutely hilarious because there's mounds of them. I mean, it's like 5 feet tall because this place, if you don't know, this place is gigantic. The space we're in, and it used to be filled with hundreds of people. And now there's, how many people do you think we have work here anymore? 30?
30, 35?
All that I could definitively tell you is 5. The answer
you know
to
that
how
for
many,
sure?
Yeah, other than that, I'm not sure. I know the 5 of us, so there's a few. Anyway, there's a lot of rooms and studios that are just filled with garbage. That's how it's gone so far. So Wapple and I, yesterday, we had to go off to this random studio here in the building where there is still a working microphone and a working, what do you call that thing that you finger bang in the morning?
A computer.
Computer and a board, a soundboard is what I was going for.
Yep.
But we are recording some of our commercials and whatnot in this garbage room. And there's just random items everywhere. What caught my eye and what caught Wapple's eye was there are 2 water bottles in the garbage studio room. One is about half full, one's maybe a quarter full, that have been sitting there for God knows how long. So Wapple and I thought, could we convince anyone here to take a big fat swig out of those water bottles that have been sitting there since 1996 or whenever renovations began around here?
Have they been there that long?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, it's been.
Because there used to be.
I thought they were just like either. Honestly, I thought they were either mine or Dana's old water bottles we just didn't grab.
So you want to play the game? Who wants to get Legionnaire's disease?
Right. That's we were trying to think of what would we call it? Who wants herpes? Who wants E. coli? Whatever grows in a warm plastic water bottle after a decade. We just were wondering if anyone here would take that challenge. It sounds like Ashley would be the only one who would consider it.
It's even worse because where those water bottles used to be, we had like little cubbies where it had people's names on it. And then you can put stuff in those cubbies.
That's not there anymore?
No, they took that out.
Oh, yeah.
So everything in the cubbies is just sitting on like a desk, and that's where the water bottles are.
Ashley,
so
are you thirsty?
I have no idea how long that water's been sitting in there.
I got my own water today.
You do? But what about 30-year-old water?
Yeah, it's aged like fine wine, actually.
What about an enema? Would you use it as an enema?
No. I've drank in some old water before.
You have drank in?
Yeah.
some old water before.
Yeah, like water.
I love radio professionals, don't you, Josh?
Yeah, I've drank old water before.
How much did you drinking?
I drink it in a little bit.
Anyway, I have found water bottles in my car, and I don't know when they're from.
Was there
when you're
mold in
really
it?
thirsty, just drink it. No.
You found old water bottles in your car, and you've dranken it.
Yeah, plenty of
Okay.
times.
Oh, sure. So have I suppose. Old water. Yeah, so have I.
Some of them, maybe even like a year. I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's funny. So have I, I'm sure. But recently, my friggin' wife told me that that's a bad idea.
Oh.
Something about the plastic and when it sits for a long period of time and gets warm and cold. Anyway, use that however you like. I'll tell you how I used it. I threw it away immediately. I don't care. I'm not too worried about, But,
I wonder.
The place is a real mess. Wapple and I had some fun kind of looking over the joint yesterday, and we decided to take a shot with this water bottle challenge.
I should look up how long you can hold on to bottled water. Because we have bottled water from my stepdaughter's graduation party, and that was in 2020.
Yeah, look that up. Actually, you should, because, like I said, the friggin' wife got on my case about it. I don't remember what was going on. Maybe it was we found an old water bottle in. I think that's what it was. There was a couple of water bottles that had been sitting in my pickup for a while, and I unscrewed the cap and took a swig, and she said, "For Christ's sake, don't you have any idea how bad that is for you?" And I said, "No, I have never heard this story before in my life. Something about the plastic, all right?" So.
Says here, unopened bottled water can be kept indefinitely if it's properly sealed and stored in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight.
Okay, well, that's the problem is, if
it's in your car, it's
your vehicle gets hotter than Dutch love on some days. And
What you just read was a dude on Reddit.
Oh.
Right? Isn't that the description you just read?
I just Googled how long can you, and it was the first thing that popped up.
Yeah, just check the source there. I think that was a dude on Reddit, just to make sure.
Yeah, I'm reading one that FDA does not set a limit for the shelf life, but general recommendation is around 2 years.
Yeah, and it just depends. The storage, so the more I'm reading about it on different sites, the storage is what's most important, right? Like if you have it sitting next to a window, all those microplastics are going to get in your butt.
I hate microplastics in my butt.
So you got to keep it.
Did you say in your blood or in your butt?
Both. Well, I said butt, but yeah, it could get in your blood.
Here's the thing. I'm sure it's not a good.
Looks like most places are saying after about 2 years you should consider getting rid of it.
2 years is a long time. I'm sure it's not good for you to drink water out of a water bottle that's sitting in a hot plate, but something tells me that's probably not going to be what kills us. You know what I mean?
True.
Oh, man. So probably shouldn't have said anything, Ashley, because now you're being dared to do all kinds of things.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, me and my buddies used to play what we called the odds game. So
talk to me.
So you would give each other a dare, like, "Hey, I dare you to do that," and it'd be like, "What are the odds that you would do that?" So then you choose a number between 1 and 100, and then your buddy does the same thing, and then you go 1, 2, 3, and you say the number at the exact same time. If you hit the number, then you have to do it.
It's kind of confusing, but I think I follow you.
I was dared not to shower my first semester of college.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I made it. I went the whole semester without showering. No
Same with me
problem.
without washing my sheets.
I'm sorry?
I didn't wash my sheets my entire first semester of college.
I bet that wasn't a dare. That was just how it goes.
Yeah, I just didn't realize that you needed to wash sheets.
No, Dana, semesters of college, I've gone years without washing my sheets. Years. When I was a young guy, didn't even consider it. I know, it's repulsive now as you get...
Yeah.
But when you're young, semester, that's kid stuff. I love that. Not well, so what was the semester? What's your name again, Josh? What was the semester? Like 3 months?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Didn't shower?
Nothing.
How painful was that after a while?
Your skin gets prickly, that's for sure. So yeah, I wasn't. The only thing I was allowed to do was splash cold water on my face. Well, I guess they didn't specify the temperature, but that's what I used.
That sounds miserable.
How did you cover up the smell after a while?
I don't know. Nobody ever said anything.
How did you not get fissures and,
Yeah, there was really nothing. There was no, and I had hair back then.
Oh,
I was going to
bet
say,
you smelled like cheese.
yeah,
Well, it's possible because my roommate's feet were so bad it would smell up the entire dorm.
Oh, so nobody could tell it was you then.
But, I had a long-distance relationship, so I had nobody really to be around.
how bad did your head hurt, though? Like from not showering your hair?
Yeah,
that was uncomfortable.
That hurt.
But after a while, you just get kind of numb.
That's and what did you win?
Nothing. It was just a regular dare.
Just a dare.
Yeah.
Well, I think I would have wanted some kind of a prize. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand pride was on the line, but I would have demanded something in return. So there you go. This building is just a trash bin. And there is some fun to be had if you wander in and out of these garbage rooms and see some of the things that have been laying around for years. There's old pictures in there, Josh, of you and I. Plenty
When we had hair? Or not that old?
Not that old.
Not that old.
I mean, we're wearing ball caps, of course.
Yeah.
If you show me the picture, I could honestly tell you if there was hair underneath that ball cap or not, and I'm sure you could too. Old VHS tapes, and by God, there's all kinds of, random radio station swag. Is that the word, swag?
Yeah.
T-shirts and CDs and
Any
DVDs.
reel-to-reels in there?
I haven't seen any.
Because I guess when both of us first started, they were still using reel-to-reels where they'd cut like literal tape, like film. It would look like that's how you'd make your edits.
Remember
I haven't seen any of that.
the old big fat movie projectors from back when we were kids, Josh? I mean, yeah, it's similar.
Just that, but thinner.
Thinner?
Yeah.
Yep. And we used to have to, I don't ever want to hear any one of you younger people bitch about editing. Because when Cubby and I first started, editing involved a massive reel-to-reel machine.
And you had to do it in real time.
Oh,
right.
balls.
Yeah, right?
Oh, boy.
It involved a wax pen. Wasn't that right? That you would make a
mark where you want to cut.
And then a razor blade.
Uh-huh.
Like they did in the Civil War.
And there was like a little grid on the table, for lack of a better word, where you do the cutting, and there'd be different angles for how extreme you wanted, like a fade, or how you wanted to put it together. I know it's not super sweet, Ashley. It's a pain in the butt.
Well, yeah, it sounds painful, but it's very interesting.
So let's say you wanted you want to put music underneath a commercial. You'd have to record the music, and then go back, record your commercial. If you want sound effects, you have to go back and record all that. It would take forever.
It sucked. It was very stressful.
It would be fun to do for one day, I think, for me, just to learn it and go back.
You would have, knowing
I'm
you,
a dork
Wapple,
with that stuff.
You would have a Muppet meltdown. You would be so frustrated immediately that you'd have one of those spinning meltdowns that you have.
Oh, and then what you do is you tape the film back together, right? So that's how you keep it. Yeah, imagine making an incorrect cut, Wapple.
Oh, and then
start over.
Or having to redo the commercial because it wasn't good enough for the client.
Or they changed the offer.
Yeah.
Dana, I understand you took a tour through one of these garbage rooms here in the building. Was there anything that grabbed your eye?
Oh, there's a Macho Man Randy Savage CD.
That belongs to me. Wasn't there an autograph on it?
I believe so, yeah.
That was from the day when Macho Man Randy Savage was legitimately pushing that CD. I want to say 1997, 1998. He came in studio and talked about his CD. What the hell was it called again? Wasn't it called I'm Macho Enough for Your Mother or something like that? Anyway, I mean, someone maybe could look up that CD. What year was it released? Because he came in studio.
Be a Man.
Be a Man was the name of the record.
2003.
Oh, my. Was it really 2003?
Yeah.
So we must have been working. We were working together.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he brought in his blonde girlfriend, Gorgeous George?
And then didn't he do like an appearance at Target Center or something? I thought we did something over at
I
Target
think it was a
Center.
Sam Goody at Mall of America I saw, because there's also a newspaper clipping promoting his appearance at a Sam Goody.
He was very friendly. His girlfriend was a little odd.
Yeah, she kind of seems like it.
2003, I'm surprised it was not longer ago than that. But that was one of the greatest thrills I think that Josh and I have ever had here in the building, was having Macho Man Randy Savage hang out for a morning. Okay, there was the Macho Man CD. I understand there was a Anna Nicole Smith bobblehead. I believe that belongs to me.
Yeah, I think that's yours as well. A lot of wrestling action figures.
A A lot of wrestlers have come through the building and dropped off some of their trinkets.
There's a blank VHS tape with a label on it about the Dom triplets, which I'd be kind of intrigued to slide into a VCR if I had one.
Well, what do you mean a blank VHS tape labeled?
Yeah, it's
those are two different things.
Well, it's a VHS tape that was recorded. It's not like this was bought at his store. It was recorded, and somebody slapped a label on it and wrote the Dom triplets on it.
Maybe when they came in studio, because they visited a couple times when they were Playboy playmates. I bar gigged with the Dom girls one night, and it was one of the wildest.
Yeah, that would be wild.
We had a great time, and they thought I was really cute. That's how I remember it. Yeah, this place is just
literal dumpster.
It is a dumpster, but it is kind of fun to see that old garbage laying around. Most of it's useless, but you know what we really should do? We should help out today. Let's go into that garbage studio and just everybody take 5 items with them. Even if all you do is then throw them into your trash at home, let's at least everyone take 5 things and help. It's terrible in that room.
It is.
Oh, it's bad.
It's depressing that we walk in
I
there.
spent a Saturday helping an engineer get rid of stuff, and it didn't make a dent.
No.
It made absolutely no dent. And we had these big burly dudes come in from a junk company. They grabbed a whole bunch of stuff. Now, they cleared this place out for sure, but it still looks like we could use them 2-3 more times.
All right, so Ashley will still take a dare, she says. She can't handle it. You can't handle the pressure. You have to go ahead and do it.
It does.
Well, can you tell us a great story of when you were dared to do something? I mean, if you're going to talk like this, you got to have a story. You were dared to do something and you had to do it?
I guess I never get like really serious dares because I'm a girl and people always just naturally take it easy on me.
Well, we did the what would Ashley do for $100? We had to come up with a way to get you some money.
Oh, the chew spit.
And so, that was one of the things. So you did a few of those.
That's probably the worst.
Well, but
dare
that
I've
was
ever
for
done.
money.
Yeah.
Like Josh's dare when he went 6 months without showering, that was just a straight up dare.
Yeah,
so
they
you're
usually
saying,
involve money of some sort.
in case you don't have any
I
stories
guess,
for it?
I mean, like when I was younger, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. We were like playing Truth or Dare at a park. And I remember this one because like it was like me and 2 other girls and a dude, and I had a huge crush on the dude, and so I was hoping that like the dares would like gear towards that.
Sure.
But instead the dude just like dared me to pick up a random spoon that was laying on the ground and like put it in my mouth. And I didn't, so I did it, but like that was not my goal of that evening. That sucked. And then I think
Some
about
street
it now.
bum was scratching his hemorrhoids with that damn spoon.
Yeah, like that spoon, especially the park I was hanging out at, that I shouldn't have put that spoon in my mouth.
Yeah, there was meth on there.
Yeah,
you had a meth spoon.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet there was ass on it.
Something bad. Like, ugh.
I bet someone scratched their ass with it.
That seems like more of a fork job than a spoon job to me. We could play What's in Ashley's Mouth.
More of a fork job.
I remember in like at lunch would be a lot of dares that guys would do.
Oh yeah, that's when all the dares at our school was. lunch.
Every junior high's lunch table that was ground zero for what kid is going to eat.
Who's snorting what?
I remember snorting Sour Patch Kid dust, like the sour stuff at the end, the sugar and that.
Yeah, definitely.
Boy, that hurt.
Like Dorito dust?
Just a red face.
Yeah, we snorted a lot of Splenda back in the day at restaurants and stuff
Why
like
did
that.
we think that was cool?
I don't know. Yeah, it was stupid.
And we didn't even need TikTok to challenge us to do it. We just did it for fun.
I drank half a bottle of soy sauce. I regret that. That was disgusting.
Yeah,
You got your sodium intake for about 5 years.
Yeah, somebody told me later that could have killed you, man.
I think it has killed people.
But did you have the kid at your junior high? I mean, every junior high at lunch, you had the kid that would eat anything. Someone would chew up their food, spit it on his plate, and he would eat it.
Yeah, yep. I'm picturing him right now.
Did you guys also have the kid in school that like did self-inflicted dares? Like there'd be a cookie covered in ants. He'd be like, "Do you dare me to eat it? Do you dare me? Do you dare me? I'll do it. Do you dare me?" We're like, "Sure."
Yeah. Especially if he was shouting at me like that.
Yeah, there are. You're right. There's people that would always ask you to do a dare that you just didn't. I didn't give a crap about.
Yeah,
sometimes my youngest will do that. Hey, if I do this, will you buy me the new Madden? I'm like, no, I don't really care
Don't
to
care.
watch you jump off the deck or whatever. No. Go ahead if you want, but that's for free. I'm not going to pay anything for that.
What I think we had a little bit of an original situation at my junior high. And what I mean by that is the kid at our lunch table who would eat your chewed up food. And I'm not kidding you. You could into a damn milk carton and he would drink it. The route I'm taking here to where I think our situation was original was this kid was a genius. He was like the smartest kid at our school. Usually, the kid who's going to eat the chewed up food and the ants and the this and that is kind of like this oddball, outcast ball of filth.
Yeah.
This friggin' kid, the kid at our junior high who would just ingest anything, was this straight-laced, great athlete, genius student, rich family. So I don't know what he was doing. And Christ almighty, I think today he's a millionaire heart doctor or something.
Good for him.
Isn't that something? I don't.
Wow.
You're listening to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, Backtracks.
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning wants to wish you a happy holiday season and wants to let you know that Standard Heating is ready if you face a heating emergency. Their expert team is available through the holidays to make sure you stay warm and safe, no matter what. Become a Smart Club member so that you'll have peace of mind knowing that you're covered for the upcoming winter season. For more info or 24/7 emergency heating services, call 612-824-2656. Comfort you deserve since 1930.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
My World with Jeff Jarrett takes wrestling fans behind the scenes, along with King of the Mountain, Conrad Thompson.
Dice Man is here.
How about that? Yeah, I see that. He says Randy Savage attacked Hawk at a Kid Rock concert. I don't know if I'm buying Randy backing down, even at that stage of the game.
He would have never gotten a fight on Universal Studios backlot out of respect from old man. Kid Rock concert, watch out, Hawkster. But here, no, but he ain't backing down.
My World with Jeff Jarrett, wherever you listen.
The Half-Assed Morning Show Backtracks.
Are you proud to be a Midwesterner?
Yeah.
Of course.
Some are embarrassed by it.
I love being a flyover state.
Some won't admit it. Josh and I have met a couple people in this business who won't admit that they come from the Midwest.
It's so weird. Yeah,
because
maybe they spent an hour in Los Angeles or something.
Their idea is that we're just so uncool here. So uncool compared to the people on the East Coast and the West Coast that they won't admit it. They will go out of their way to try to hide it, that they're Midwesterners. I'm glad that we're all proud of it.
Yeah, I don't know why somebody. I mean, that's where you're from. Why hide it? Or what are you ashamed of?
I think it's simply the perception that we're all just flannel-wearing, overweight, boring, uncool people. And, some of these folks, they come from, it's usually not a kid from Eden Prairie who has that line of thought. It's usually a young person who comes from way the hell up north in some godforsaken spot, right? And they've burned themselves out on being small town. Again, this is not my words. This is what I'm perceiving they are thinking. They don't want to be unnoticed and from the middle of nowhere anymore. They want to be a somebody, and they want it to happen now. So let me just erase my history, and now I'm from Minneapolis. I'm from Los Angeles. They just want to You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. The Minneapolis thing, right?
Yes.
Like a lot of suburb kids tend to move to Minneapolis, and a lot of Minneapolis kids tend to move to the suburbs. And there's plenty of examples of that in my life. But I mean, even my wife and I are both from Minneapolis, moved to the suburbs. Our kids, suburban kids, moved to the cities.
I know someone from Bagley, Minnesota. Anyone ever been Bagley?
No.
Yep. Way the hell up. No, it's been years since I've been up there. Bagley, they moved. As soon as they could get out the house, they did. And for all those reasons I listed, they just were tired of nothingness, where a lot of us would embrace it. They were tired of it. They're young. They want to be a somebody. They moved to Minneapolis as soon as they could. And from then on out, they were from Minneapolis. Where are you from? Minneapolis. They never, ever wanted to bring up Bagley. It's a thing for some people.
That'd be an easy conversation starter, though, I feel like.
What are you talking about?
Like, if you're from Bagley and you live in Minneapolis, people would be like, where the hell is that? And then, you got your in.
Automatically, you got a new buddy.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I've got 5 minutes of conversation here now.
Yeah, exactly. Every single time.
And I've got 5 minutes to think of the next thing.
Yeah.
I really thought this was going to be difficult, but you asked me where I'm from. I said Bagley, and now the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, look at us. We're best friends.
Now, I understand when people, let's say you leave, you're out of state, somebody says, oh, where you're from. I could understand where they'd say, Minneapolis or something like that. If you live in a suburb, because you
Right.
say, yeah, I'm from Eagan. Like, what the hell is Eagan?
Someone from Cleveland, Ohio is
Yeah.
not going to
They won't get
recognize
it.
Egan.
Or
Right.
like, I'm from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area or something like
That's
that.
a different kind of a vibe. The reason I bring up our Midwestern heritage, I was just reading some things about how we operate around here. Would you agree with this? You're not from the Midwest if you don't have a beer fridge in your garage.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's... I never go anywhere, so I don't know how common that is. I just assumed that was pretty common. But that's a Midwest thing, huh?
Yeah, I would say either that or one of those giant chest freezers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of kids back in the day in those giant chest freezers.
Yeah, the beer fridge in the garage was a staple for me for, decades. It just so happens now, I moved, 5-6 years ago. I can't think of how long ago it was that I moved. The garage is no longer the hangout place in my new home. At my old place, absolutely, the garage was where we did everything. That's where I hosted most of my parties. It was just a wonderful... And I had the wood stove, and I had the beer fridge. It's different now with my new setup. But, yeah, having a beer fridge in the garage, what a wonderful setup that is. I don't know if it's specifically Midwestern, but we certainly love that kind of thing. The chest freezer, absolutely, too. My folks had a casket-sized freezer in the basement.
Let me guess, and it had like a foot of that, the frozen, you know what I mean, on the side of it?
Right. It always had that.
Yep.
Are you saying I would need a gas-powered auger to get to the bottom of that pig?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you
Because
got to
they-
buy one double the size because eventually that's going to shrink.
They never paid any attention to it. I mean, when we were kids, when it was new, when I was a 5-year-old, when it was brand new, yay, popsicles and whatnot would be put in there. And then it was completely forgotten about when we got a little older. I had to clean that son of a bitch out when they moved.
Oh, no. There's probably like venison in there from like 15 years ago.
It was a horror show. And I mean, I was looking at boxes of chocolate, what do you call those things? Like a pudding pop from 1981.
Oh, fudge.
And a fudge-sicle, that's what I'm going for. And I just thought, and there was, of course, carcass that my brother or my dad shot on a hunting trip. That was, it had regrown hair on it. It was just, but oh yeah, I think that's also a very Midwestern thing.
Are you guys always afraid? Maybe always is a strong word, but do you ever kind of get the heebie-jeebies if that thing's in a dank basement, like there might be a body in there?
Oh, for sure.
Well, Christ, that's exactly the situation that I had. And a lot of people made jokes when they came to the house when they saw this 8-foot-long, 4-foot-deep freezer. They thought, well, who have you murdered? Oh, that's exactly the setup that I had.
A buddy.
Although getting rid of it was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Did you chuck it or somebody wanted it?
No, somebody wanted it.
Yeah, I would want something like that.
I would want
kind of
something
wish
like
we
that.
had a chest freezer.
That damn thing was from 1978, and it still was it would still pump ice. So I got rid of it quite easily.
A buddy of mine had the best chest freezer of all time, I think, because Mucho Grande, his parents, they'd stock up during Lent on those the Filet-O-Fish from McDonald's. So we had Filet-O-Fish all year round.
wow.
And it was
sweet.
an entire chest freezer. All it was Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. Because when we were kids, they were like 50 cents a piece. Remember that, Nick? They were so cheap.
The Filet-O-Fish.
Yeah, so during Lent, they would just load up on those things.
My mother, of course, being the only real Catholic in the family, well, maybe my sister too. Okay, my mother and my sister actually practiced that stuff. My dad and my brother and I couldn't give a rip. My mother was the one in the house who, come Lent, yes, would nightly go to McDonald's for the Filet-O-Fish. I never got into it.
You didn't like the Filet-O-Fish?
I mean, take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. It's been 35 years probably since I had one. I'd probably really enjoy one today. Okay, what do you think of this? In the Midwest, we specialize in driving 45 minutes just to go eat at a mediocre restaurant out of town.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fun.
I like doing that.
It's fun to hear about the cafe or the steakhouse or something that's, a ways away from your hometown. A little road trip. Big old meal, couple of beers, you drive back home and you go straight to bed. I think that's quite Midwestern right there. Mm-hmm. I love the old supper clubs. When I used to hang out in, Glenwood, Minnesota. There was a couple of supper clubs out in the boonies. Yeah, that was fun to drive on out there and hit that joint and then hit all the roadhouses on our way back to town.
Well, then I don't share that with Minnesotans. I don't leave the zip code. I do not drive places. I love to drive, but for whatever reason, I just would prefer to stay within 2 minutes of my house.
Oh, no, I get it. You've hit that point.
Yeah, well, what was it? Sorry.
Is everything?
You had a long night.
Yeah.
He did.
Very long night. It was funny because we went to a buffet at a casino up north, and then all of a sudden, all these kids started coming in their prom dresses and nice attire and stuff like that. And I started thinking, I'm like, well, yeah, I guess they don't really have anywhere else to go besides Pizza Hut or McDonald's.
Buffet on prom night.
Yeah, buffet casino. That's like their fancy restaurant.
Where do we go after prom? Well, whose lights are still on? Oh, well, the casino. All right, let's go. That's how they say it up north, Josh. Let's go.
Let's go.
Driving around, burning gas with a few pals. Being from the Midwest means driving around, burning gas with a few pals, and cruising to music because we literally have nothing better to freaking do. That reminds me of high school.
Same here.
Mm-hmm.
Back before we could finger bang our phones and find out where everyone else was instantly. If the beer party wasn't happening or the beer party got broken up, we'd just drive around until we couldn't stand it anymore while listening to the latest album from Anthrax.
Everyone would just be at the fast food joint in town. Go park our car there and wait for everybody else to get there.
Oh, we would go to the beach or Northland Mall and we'd play hacky sack or football.
Here we go. On this conversation about what's special or different about being from the Midwest. This is the one that, when I read it, my blood pressure skyrocketed because I just hate this song with every ounce of my being. I want to die and then come back just so I can hate this song some more. It says here, you might be from the Midwest if you learned Cotton-Eyed Joe in Phi Ed class.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I did. That song sucks so much.
Good God. I don't know what it is about that song, but when it comes on, I just close my eyes and I start swinging weapons at anybody in the room.
Half-assed Morning Show. 93X.
I got 4 headlines from the same story. And I'd like everyone to close their eyes. And when I read you these headlines, I need you to imagine you or someone you love are the person responsible. Not for writing the headlines, of course, but responsible for the true story behind the headlines. Are your eyes closed?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Here are the 4 headlines for the same story. Imagine it's you or someone that you love.
Whose hand is on my thigh?
Just let it happen, Josh. Just let it happen.
All right, I'll let it happen.
Man appears to pleasure himself with a cucumber in a driveway. Police searching for man who sodomized himself with a cucumber. Cops hunt for man caught on camera performing jaw-dropping sex act with cucumber. And finally, man wanted for sex act with cucumber. So now that you've used your imagination, and God help us, I hope you had to use your imagination and I wasn't bringing you back to an actual real event from your... Now that you've used your imagination, if it was you, if you were the main character behind that headline, do you ever show your face in public again?
Absolutely not.
Probably not, but I was picturing Dana's face.
You're picturing a loved one.
Yeah, I can't picture mine. I've never, outside of a doctor's finger, never and a colonoscopy scope, never had anything back there. There's no way I could start with a cucumber. There's no way this was this guy's first foray into vegetable sodomy.
Mm-hmm.
I could maybe start with an okra and work my way up.
Maybe like a baby pickle, one of those small ones or something.
Yeah, baby carrot.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's right, if cucumber, you've done this before.
You're right, yeah.
Now, if you were imagining it was a loved one who got busted cucumbering themselves in a driveway, would they be able to count on you for help in their time of darkness, or are you too disturbed by what they've done?
It depends on the person.
It does depend on the person.
It does.
It really, there's people I'm close enough to where I think there are so many better qualities about him than cucumbering himself in front of some other people.
Yeah. I'd talk to
I'd give him a second chance.
I'd be there for you, Josh. I can think of a couple other people that I would be there for. But there are others. If you're caught on video banging yourself in the can with a cucumber in somebody's driveway, we're never speaking again.
I've always felt lucky that I just get regular guy horny. I don't worry about ever getting caught putting a cucumber in my butt in public or anything like that.
Just regular guy horny.
Yeah, just like your average. Like I can wait to masturbate until I'm, on the car ride on the way home. I don't do it at work or something like that. I've got tinted windows.
Let me tell you everything that happened here. So if you're having trouble deciding on which way you'd go, whether you'd help a friend or not after something like this, or if you're having trouble deciding whether or not you'd show yourself in public ever again, let me tell you everything that happened, and maybe that'll help you out. Cops in Washington, D.C. are investigating this lewd act. A homeowner called to report this horrible incident last Friday. Early evening, it was still light out, by God. And, of course, security video caught every grisly second of this.
Watched it.
Pardon me?
Watched it.
Yeah, you had to watch the video. It was like on the sidewalk, but also sort of on this lady's property on her driveway. Funny setup there. It's in the city somewheres. But anyway, so still light out. Security videos recorded all of it. The lady, she told the damn cops that some young feller had stuck a cucumber in the grill of her car and then used the cuke like a sex toy. And if you're still confused, I don't blame you. I'll explain it a little more clearly. He made so the cucumber was sticking off the car like a hood ornament, and then he backed his little bottom down on it. Burp, 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 that kind of a thing.
I kind of pictured it similar to, we used to work with a guy who had a fleshlight and a shower attachment where they would just suction to the wall.
Yeah, for you ladies, like a suction cup dildo.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, they make that for,
yeah.
That's genius. I bet that gets used way more than
I dated a gal who had so many of those on the walls of her shower, I could hang a washcloth on one, a towel on the other.
It looked like a climbing wall at some sort of sporting goods store.
She had one for every angle. All right. So that's how the guy did it. He sticks the cucumber into the grill of this gal's car, and then he backed that ass up.
Foreskin chin, Jesus said that...
foreskin chin?
Yeah, foreskin chin, Jesus said, I didn't have guy shoving cucumber up his ham flour on my bingo card this morning.
Ham flour?
I've never heard that one before.
No, me either. Did anyone else have the same reaction I did? I was about to laugh, and then I was overwhelmed with confusion.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm going to use that today. Oh, God, I've been sitting so long, my ham flour. It's really aching.
All right. So when the dude was done with that routine, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? You following this? Then he went behind the car. You know, he picked the cucumber up off of the hood, went behind this lady's car, and he bombed himself with the computer over there, too, just a standing there. And then he smoked a cigarette, and then he walked out of there.
Gotta have a heater after you bang yourself with a cucumber on the grill of someone's car.
Is that okay for smokers? Is that really a thing, or is that just from movies where after sex you have a cigarette?
I wouldn't know.
I like it.
Yeah.
So it is a thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know
like
if that was just a bit in movies or what. What is it about it? Is it just because you haven't had one in a while, or
just like relaxing, I guess.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, I always keep a chew in during anyway, so I don't need the post-sex tobacco. I got one cooking the whole time. Dude smoked a cigarette, and then he walked away. Somewhat bow-legged, but nonetheless, he walked away. If you don't mind going back to Imagination Land, now imagine you're the lady who watched this happen. I don't think I'd ever get a good night's sleep ever again.
No way.
No.
You kind of wonder, like, I mean, anytime you're a victim of some sort of crime, and she's a victim here. I mean,
She is a victim.
Yep. You wonder, like, why? Why us? Like, our house was broken into quite a few times, and you wonder, like, we don't. This isn't like the nicest house in the, or we don't really have much. Why us?
Perfectly natural reaction, Josh. Everyone would have the same reaction.
This one's worse. I'd rather have him break into my house.
Yeah.
Take like a guitar or something like.
You can have my
TV,
yep, and my change jar.
Yeah, steal my identity.
Way before I want you to backdoor yourself on the hood of my car.
That was the thing that got me, was it didn't look like it was his first time doing the cucumber in the car trick. He kind of did it. He didn't like walk around and think and look at the car like, maybe I could do that. He just had the cucumber, put it in, and went to town.
Yep.
Well, yeah, this was not. We already established, I think, this was not his first rodeo.
No way.
Yeah. So I would, if I was a neighbor, I'd even be worried too.
Has he done that to my car?
Yeah. How many cars has this guy done this to?
Imagine if he did to. Now, here's the flip side. If he did it to all my neighbors but me, then I might be kind of wondering too, like, what's wrong with my car?
Hell, man.
So the lady, the victim, as Josh said, it was her car, her property where this happened. She did have some fun quotes on this nightmare that she witnessed. She said she was disgusted and freaked out. Freaked out, absolutely. She also said that the dude put the cucumber back in a bag that he was carrying after he keistered it. He put it back in a bag. I mean, instead of just throwing it out on, just throw it on the ground. She said, quote, "That leaves me with a lot of questions that I do not want to have in my mind." And she did find cucumber juices and whatnot on the hood of her car. No. On the hood of her car, I said. Cucumber splooge.
Yeah, you sell that car.
Yep. I'll try anything 4 times, Jesus said. This is true. I didn't consider this. That I don't know for sure that the people who broke into my house didn't put a cucumber into their, quote, stink star. That's very possible. It is very possible.
Star.
Also, Wapala, you said sell the car. Do you need to list that in the Carfax report, do you think?
Yes.
About what happened to the
Violated by cucumber.
I don't think you do.
You can leave that one out.
I don't think you put that in there.
That is a horrible, horrible, terrible, and might I add, horrible story.
Yeah, you've gone through all levels of horny before you get to that.
And you know what? Otherwise, the guy looked like he didn't look like some crazy maniac, street-dwelling lunatic.
I was going to bring that up. He had a cool look.
He looked like a hip, young person.
He looked like he could have been voted most likely not to cucumber himself on camera.
Right. Some of you, maybe when we were telling the story, some of you probably pictured some dark figure, creepy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
definitely.
I was picturing an old
Grizzled,
creepy
filthy,
dude.
like a filthy. No, this guy looked like a hip, young person that would come to your rave.
Yeah, and I have very little room to talk when it comes to pictures. But the smile Dana has in pictures, that's a guy that might even have a cucumber up there at that moment.
I do that open-mouthed douchebag smile, and I don't know how to stop doing it.
Even Lindahl's like, dude, that's a creepy smile.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93X.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. New episodes drop each weekday. If your podcast platform has ratings, go ahead and give us 5 stars and maybe give our enemies 1. Thanks, and here's a word from our sponsor.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning wants to wish you a happy holiday season and wants to let you know that Standard Heating is ready if you face a heating emergency. Their expert team is available through the holidays to make sure you stay warm and safe, no matter what. Become a Smart Club member so that you'll have peace of mind knowing that you're covered for the upcoming winter season. For more info or 24/7 emergency heating services, call 612-824-2656. Comfort you deserve since 1930.